Welcome back to Day 2 and Stage 2 of the Six Invitational. Dark Zero's future wasn't that bright as Space Station ever fueled up as they continued to storm through and dominate the winner side of the bracket. But this time around, we're finally going to see the first team ever here in Stage 2 get eliminated in the loser side of the bracket. Welcome back to the desk. I'm your host, Veli, and I'm here with Apex's finest, Dev Marta, and also my man, Imzo. And this matchup, it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, look, we've had some big upsets so far. We've had some really exciting games, but this is the first time in the playoffs, at least, that I think we're really going to start breaking some hearts.
Yeah, I mean, this is where potentially either LATAM or EU in entirety could go out of this. I think it's likely we see a split of some kind. The question is who stays in this, because, I mean, this is some strong teams that probably don't think they should be in this loser's bracket, as we put it down here, because one of these guys is going to be a winner. They can't both go home, and I mean, I'm looking at G2 right now.
And speaking of G2, let's just go ahead and take a look at the roster. This team, I mean, they've been champions. They dominated Siege for so long, and for the most part of the entirety of competitive Siege, they've been #1. Tell me more about this roster.
I mean, these guys, they all have the performance. There's Sir Boss. He's a bit new. He's coming up. He found some good plays, I think we saw from him. Obviously, they struggled a little bit against Fnatic, but Fnatic, as we saw, struggled again today. So obviously, teams can have these hiccups, right? This is a marathon, not a sprint. And G2 are in it for the long haul. All these guys here, Pengu going way back to being like a year 1 champion. And Fabian been here a long time as well. Kanto has been showing up. Uno has been showing up. If Sir Boss can continue to grow here as a player, seems unstoppable.
And Dev Marta, how weird is it to see G2 in this position right now? They could get eliminated, man.
It's scary, but we've seen it happen already to teams like Empire, FaZe, and I know G2 have got a lot of high hopes for this event, and I can definitely see them making it their way through this bracket all the way to that grand final.
Now, in IP, you know, the Brazilians at home are really happy to see them go off against such a storied team, but also, they're not too happy with their place right now. Tell me a little bit about NIP.
I mean, NIP, like, they've had a good long history here in LATAM, as most of the LATAM teams have. They've been playing for a good long time. Some of these players have swapped teams, but I'm looking at Julio and Pino in terms of just their ability to play in this tournament so far has been phenomenal. They had a little bit of a weaker day yesterday, but because of that, Muzi stepped up, and I think that was a big help, and I think we could see some of that today. It's Kamikaze and Psycho that have really been struggling a little bit, but everyone seems to have their hot days on some of these teams. So I'm looking at some of those players that maybe were struggling a bit more, especially Muzi, to really step up today.
Yeah, it's really weird to see Psycho at -9 at the moment. Psycho has been known to be that beast that Ninjas in Pyjamas could depend on whenever they had to go against the Titan and throw out their best fragger to make plays. How important is it that he really steps up right now?
Oh, absolutely he needs to step up. I think the thing that was a huge shame in the most recent matchup we saw when these guys went up against TSM is it wasn't TSM versus NIP, it was TSM versus Muzi. And that's a real shame because these guys have the pedigree. They've been world contending teams for about 2 years. They were even runners-up way back in the Season 6 of Pro League, and wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it really was.
These guys fell into a slump, and I think this is part of their redemption tour right now. They need to show up against G2.
All right, so G2, NIP, you guys know the names, we know the players. Let's go ahead and see what the content piece is between them as they interviewed for this match.
Hi guys, my name is André Cardoso, as known as Bob. I'm the Rainbow Six team manager of Ninjas in Pyjamas.
My name is Nicholas Pingo Morton. I'm the secondary in-game leader for G2 Esports.
Yeah, we just lost to TSM 2-0. We got the chance to close the first map, but we threw some rounds in the end. The boys didn't show what they can do, what they really can do. We practiced so much against TSM and we smashed them on the practice.
So last game we just had was against Fnatic. We're so close, right? We're super, super close. And I think what happened in the last couple of rounds, I think, was mutually that they were a little bit afraid of doing something because it could fail. And we were a little bit afraid of doing something because, again, it could fail for us too.
The next match against G2, we're probably gonna focus on our own strats and not trying to counter them so much.
What they're really good at is the aggression, right? The Latin American aggression is what they're known for. They have players that will just strike you when you least expect it, and they have extreme accurate precision aim. So we gotta hit better tomorrow.
Yeah, let's make a good match, and we hope to revenge our loss to them on the Paris Major.
Hello NIP and NIP fans. I'm afraid that tomorrow is going to be a bad day for you guys because we're going to take the victory, but I want to make it a good game. I want to make it a community-based game. It's not going to be LATAM versus EU in the sense of negativity, but pride, right? We want EU to win. You guys want LATAM to win.
Paying was just so nice, and he's so amazing.
He's become such a humble player.
I know, right? You can't help but just love him. You know, shout out to Newt. So, coming into this matchup, I actually spoke with an analyst, Fresh, and I said, hey, man, coming into this matchup, what are you thinking about? You know, what's the mindset? He said, to be honest, we're not even worried about them. We're not worried about their play style. We're worried about ourselves and bettering our communication because ultimately that's why we lost. What type of G2 do you want to see in this matchup?
I think it's obvious. We want to see the G2, the one that has been the most well-regarded team in the history of Rainbow Six. Now, it's been a long time since they were at that level. It's been about a year since they were at Six Invitational. They won the whole damn thing last year. We need to start seeing some of that magic come back, and I can't imagine going to the main stage and not seeing G2 up there. And they need to win this match if they're going to continue that.
Especially since we lost Empire, of course, right? Like the teams we were expecting to be there at the top. G2, while they did get the invite, I think it's obvious that they belong here, even if they struggled to get here. But the thing that really is important for G2 is to make sure they do that mental reset. We saw yesterday, no discredit to Fnatic, but G2 beat themselves a little bit. They were really at each other's throats. You could see the seriousness. They lost all the fun that Fabian was talking about. They were having, when they were bringing Fuse into Chonka, they were playing too serious. And maybe this is really, that loss was actually probably what they needed to go, okay guys, let's stop. Let's have some fun. We were invited. There's no real expectations. Yeah, we're going to defend our championship, but we know we can do it.
Yeah.
Let's just kill them.
Now, the thing about Rainbow Six Siege is that whenever we talk about teams, we get so caught up talking about their legacy, their history, and their past. And people would say, hey, you know, we'd probably expect G2 to go way further. They can get eliminated right now outside of top 4. That is the craziest thing ever, right? So this double elimination style bracket has pit them and their backs against the wall against NIP. Now, NIP, what positive things can you say about them in this matchup?
I think they'll absolutely put on a good game. They're one of the strongest LATAM teams. We heard even from Bagel that was the one team they were most afraid of. And it showed. Like, they obviously prepped really well to make sure that they took NIP down. And that was down to prep. That was them fearing and respecting NIP. G2 are going to have to do the same because NIP, they know how to play this game. Yes, maybe they don't have as much international experience as G2 do, but they have some. That's enough to know, we know how G2 play. Let's shut them down. Let's get them at each other's throats again. Use that aggression, and if they can, it could happen at least one map.
Maybe they could throw them off guard, but before we talk about their play style and how we can expect this game to go out, we need to see the map. So the map veto screen should be coming up soon, and we're going to see where this battle is going to go down.
Honestly, I really think G2 have to get rid of Clubhouse here.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, I'm not surprised at the Villa ban, but I think we'll probably see Consulate as one of the 2 picks.
Yeah, Consulate's pretty good for both. Okay,
club.
yeah. I was just really worried there because if G2 didn't ban that, I don't think that's going to go their way. I don't know whether NIP is going to pick Consulate straight up. It's Border. Okay, so they haven't actually played Border very much at all in the last 6 months. And in contrast, G2 lost it just yesterday against Fnatic.
Yeah.
They did win it earlier in the group stage against Reciprocity. So I think that G2 have a decent Border, but it'll be a bloodbath. Coastline picked out for G2.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. They have a very interesting history on Coastline. I mean, the legendary history of the infinite overtime, as we know.
I'm actually a bit surprised that they didn't decide to go for the Cafe pick, but they're gonna, maybe they're gonna, it's them. They get to pick Cafe or Consulate.
Both good choices for both these teams.
Okay, Consulate is where we land. So, yeah, Cafe, I actually thought G2 would want to go to Cafe because they beat Fnatic on it, they beat BDS on it, and, well, NIP lost it to TSM. Consulate's rather where we go, and this is a map where we saw a really good showing from NIP yesterday against TSM.
That's pretty scary. Coastline and Consulate, those are pretty, those are maps that can allow a lot of aggressive behavior. Do you see NIP winning this map ban phase?
Oh, it's so hard to say because I never want to count out G2 because they have such a strong analytical crew behind them, and there's
behind them. This is now, Dev.
But this is more. They always have an idea in mind. They're always prepared. So they always know more than we do. We don't know whether these guys have been practicing Coastline really, really well. We don't know whether they've counter-voted NIP's Consulate really, really successfully. I think it's a huge risk. Okay. And look, if we get to Consulate, it's going to be a bloodbath.
I think it's interesting the Coastline play just because, so NIP have banned it twice, right? But it was against other Latin American teams where they know, hey, this is our strength or weakness against those teams, mostly because, well, we had 3 of them in a single group. But at the same time, we don't necessarily know how they're going to play it against in an international team. And so obviously G2 are hoping, well, oh, they're weak against it, we can take advantage of that. But at the same time, if they're not showing it, that means, G2 are walking a little bit blind in that. Obviously, we've got Pro League and stuff like that that will have shown Coastline play, but Coastline can be a struggle for some of these Latin American teams.
You're right. So we see the maps we're going to play out, but we also have a head-to-head. We picked out a player from each of the respective teams, and we have their stats to pretty much compare them. And Imzo, I let you take the task of choosing these players, and I want you to tell me why.
I mean, I think there's a couple of players that are just real hot fraggers on both teams, but Kanto is the man who is showing up at LAN, and Muzi showed us yesterday he has the potential to frag up there at Kanto's level. You see the stats aren't too far off from each other than some of those opening kills, but that's Kanto's job, right? So when the chips are down and Julio and Pino aren't stepping up, Muzi steps up, and I think if he could just do that without them having to have a bit of a slump, he could put Kanto Raketti in his place potentially.
And you know what's super exciting is seeing Kanto, favorite operator pick defense, Ella. That's a throwback.
I think that buff worked.
Oh yeah, the Ella buff. Kanto was one of the most notorious Ella players back in the day when Ella was a monstrosity, and I just want to see more of him running around gunning like that, and I think that's going to be some really entertaining siege to watch, especially against such an aggressive team like NIP.
You can see both of them on Zofia as well, so they're both kind of running the same entry operator.
Yeah. So just an update for some of the newer viewers out there. What makes Ella so good now?
It's just the recall. The recall is really the only thing that's changed, and Ella was never bad in terms of rate of fire. They reduced the damage from how she used to be a very long time ago and made her recall worse, but she's... it's just the fact that her recall is so controllable now, you can use her even in long-range fights.
And not to mention the shotgun, people figured out how to play that very well, so you have options now. It was always kind of like almost a meme pick. People figured out some really good spots for it, but people are also now able to fight at medium range much more effectively. Yes, long range was a buff, but it's really the medium range where you're going to get the most recoil control because you're going to be able to spray in a tight enough pattern. You're going to click some heads because rate of fire is everything at this level of play, because I joke it's a headshot lottery, and the more tickets you have, the faster you can get that out, you're winning that lottery.
I want to see Kanto do that to the camera again. But fellas, Imzo, you're not afraid to speak your mind, man. Predictions right now. Who's going to take it in? Tell me a little bit why you think so.
I think G2, only because they know how to come back from the loss. They know how to reset themselves to look back and go, you know what, we just did that to ourselves. Let's not do that today. And I think they know NIP well enough. This is not a huge unknown. Fnatic, I think, was a bit more of a blind play for them. I think they could take this all the way.
Look, I love G2, and I think that they are a team that really knows what they're doing. But look, NIP just know how to run around and click heads, and I think that these maps are really going to enable that. So I reckon if we go to map 3, this is going to be so entertaining.
It's going to be messy.
That's actually pretty scary because Consulate has a lot of windows, and it really kicks into their style of play. Now, you have to think, okay, G2, they are strat heavy, okay? NIP, they run wild. Those Brazilians are crazy. They know how to run and gun. So when you pit that against each other, what type of play style usually comes out on top?
I think you really have to watch out for Latin America's defenses, right? That's what they have, the most aggressive defenses of any region, and that's where the real problem comes in, because you have your attacks and you're on the clock, right? So you're trying to play against this very aggressive style play. We saw how TSM was able to use that against Fnatic very effectively. So if G2 can't find good ways to drone very effectively, shut down players with pinches, start to pick them off one at a time, it could be a lot of messy gunfights in the middle. It's the attacks, though, that G2 could really take advantage of. Latin America really struggles on a lot of attacks.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm G2 right now, I want to make sure I'm using operators like Nomad, especially on maps like Border. Make sure you got a lot of claymores. Don't let them run out on you when you're playing Consulate. And on the contrast to that, NIP, just ban some of these operators like Nomad, and it's just going to be a playground.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, the pros, they're ready to play. G2, NIP, losers go home. This is it. Let's send this over to the casters. Boys, take it away.
Well, thank you so very much, Veli. We're here to see a pretty interesting storyline reach its conclusion for one of these teams, and for another, it's an opportunity to play on the stage in front of the audience, and well, there's a lot of pressure on these teams' shoulders.
Yeah, this is where it really starts to get stressful. And we've actually seen, I think, through today, a lot of matches where teams are playing a lot differently than they had during the group stages or even in the early playoff days. So this is a really interesting match to watch because we're definitely going to have somebody go home. And I can't call it. Going into this, I can't call it. I'm glad I'm not on the analyst desk because if Veli asked me to, I wouldn't be able to predict the outcome here.
These teams, from the back of my mind, have not battled against each other since they met in 2018 at the Six Invitational. These teams have played each other 3 times, if memory serves me correctly, and you're welcome to look me up here. It'll be Sao Paulo when this team won, Ninjas in Pyjamas, defeated G2. At the time, they were playing under different team names. Then the rematch that happened just a couple months later in Montreal, it went in favor of G2. This is essentially a long time running, because I don't think these teams met up at the Paris Major. They certainly didn't meet at Raleigh. So you have to go ways and ways back.
I mean, I'll check out the Paris Major just to be sure, but I think you're probably right. These teams don't play each other very often. That's for darn tootin'. And because of that, you're going to have a little bit of uncertainty. And I think that's very important to highlight. A level of uncertainty is going to change the way that you play the game early on. And that's what's going to make those early engagements be so much more important for both of these teams. The leadoff rounds will count for a lot. I am taking a look now. They did meet during the...
They did play at the Paris Major.
In the group stages, G2 2-0 over Ninjas in Pyjamas.
So I was getting my groups scrambled up, so there we have it. We have a fact check live on the fly.
That was way back, so
well, I mean,
like,
the
it's not on you.
Invitational was even longer ago. This is a rematch from the Six Invitational, I guess you could call it that, because they didn't play before, except it was in the semifinals. It was when Ninjas in Pyjamas still went under the name Black Dragons, and at the time G2 went under the name Penta. So
it was so long ago, some of these things, some of these matches. There's a long history with both of these squads, but I think that going into this, both of these teams are going to be playing so much different than they had back then. I mean, we've already seen the evolution of teams around G2, for example, teams around Ninjas in Pyjamas and Ninjas in Pyjamas' own evolution, and it's changed the landscape a lot. I mean, going into previous events, there was... You guys remember when there was no question G2 was going to win? Way back when it was just like, oh yeah, they're just going to carve their way to the finals. And here they are in a position to just be knocked out of the tournament.
There's like I said, this is a big storyline here. Ninjas in Pyjamas, the best team in Latin America coming in. They went up against TSM. It was rocky shores for them. They didn't even pick up a single map up against TSM. It was a very close first map on Consulate, and then domination from TSM on Cafe, as we have come to expect from TSM this entire tournament. G2, a hot start against Fnatic, and then they just fell short. But we will waste no further time. Believe us, we want to get into the game just as much as you do. G2 versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. Map number 1. It's going to be Border. A wild one to start it off. It's not a great map for G2. How will they fare up against a very aggressive NIP, who will be looking for the same amount of revenge as G2 will be looking for as well?
Yeah, so if you take a look at the record for G2 in recent matches, they have played Border actually 2 times at this Invitational. Once against Fnatic, the other against Reciprocity. They beat Reciprocity on it. It was a narrow win, but they managed it. They lost to Fnatic. Just about the same scoreline, 7-4, 7-5. If you look even further back, though, G2 has a history of losing Border for the qualifiers of the Invitational in Europe. They lost it to M&M Gaming and Team Secret. And they managed to beat Salamander. And if you know who that is, then good on you. Because you pay attention, that's for sure.
Did Sir Boss play on Salamander at that time?
I think so. Wait, hang on. Let me take a look.
I believe he was on that roster because it was a Hungarian roster, wasn't it?
It was it looks like it was Dogefather, Headset, Wyoza, Strike, and Lion. So no.
Probably just Lion, not Lion. That's Lion.
All right.
Strike your operator bands.
Actually, we can get into the details. Strike had a really good match then.
Great for Strike. Thatcher and Hibana are going to be the 2 attacking operators. Things very standard on defense. As you know, we're not actually seeing as many Maestro bands as we'd expected. It's just going to be the Mirror and the Echo. That's it. That's all she wrote. G2 starting on defense. They will go downstairs. They're not going to go up to Armory. They will be starting on Vents. Happens from time to time. It might catch NIP a little bit off guard, but not by too much.
So, yeah, I mean it's Border. And we always talk about how this is such a shallow map. I remember when it first came out, actually. Border's had an interesting story because it first came out, everybody hated it. And then it got a little bit into the meta because it was pushed into the competitive map pool. People started playing it more frequently. It got picked by a lot of teams early on. We're talking way back when, before most of you were probably watching G2 Esports, and suddenly it's in meta because people are bringing it to try and upset the flow of the map bans. And, well, it becomes a favored map for years and years. And now it's at a point where it is so fleshed out, and it is incredibly shallow for most teams. It's considered a pretty predictable play. We do see development constantly on Border, same as every other map in Siege. That's just the meta continuing to shift and move as is necessary to stay ahead of your enemy. Things like what goes on by triple wall in Office. This is relevant. This is something that didn't happen so much in the past. When you have the Bandit trying to trick that wall, the nades and the C4s to the top of East and so on. That's a relevant development that's happened in the last, I don't know, year or so. But at the same time, there is just so much that still happens the same way it did 2 years back. Now, so far, nothing too crazy in the ban phase or in the operator select phase. We've got a Mute Mozzie combo, the Goyo as well. So you were talking about it last time we casted Border, Parker. You mentioned how the Mute Mozzie combo plus the castle is a lot of layers of defense. It absorbs utility, wastes time for the attackers. It's kind of the same thing with the Goyo. Instead of a castle, you're going to have a lot of delay, a lot of utility getting eaten up by the those lifelines, the Ashe charges, the nades. It's one of the reasons why we see Zofia and Ashe both being played so frequently at this LAN.
And Buck as well has seen an extraordinarily high pick rate. In the off chance that he's getting banned, you're seeing a Sledge come in. In Latin America, Buck tends to be one of their most aggressive operators, and expect nothing less from Pino, as the second floor control has fallen off for G2, exception being the Armory side. Drone work going into C4 just explodes at the feet of Musi and doesn't do any damage at all. Down below, Sir Boss, he'll need a big game, and G2 will need him to have a big game, as he's been, I think, struggling as you would imagine, somebody who is newer to this roster, but faithfully executing his role, given how little preparation he had. He was downstairs, last spotted inside of Customs.
G2's playing a little bit safe here, upstairs. Rightfully so, though, that's the job. You're just supposed to delay, not necessarily meant to take fights. That angle from the Jaeger will be shut down by Pino. That's the lead-off kill for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and they're angling for top floor control. Another kill for Ninjas in Pyjamas as Kanto Raketti turns turncoat, and we're going to see G2 now in a 2-on-5 as Musi picks up Fabian upstairs. The roam cleared up, one of the anchors dead, and it's looking pretty bad for G2.
That Mozzie just gets missed out on, and Kanto Raketti on the run, hits the Nitro Cell, but nothing for him. Sir Boss's Nitro Cell connects, down goes Pino. That's the first frag for G2. They will need a couple more, 30 seconds left for the first round. And Nip have a sizable advantage. That second floor control is theirs, but the site down below will need to be their bigger focus. A retake from Sir Boss, potentially on the main stairs, with Kanto Raketti shredding through Psycho. Another kill here from G2 would even things out. But Kanto Raketti's going to get spotted. Sir Boss in a 1v3, clutch potential. He doesn't have a C4. There will be coverage on the left, and he doesn't look to it. He's too focused on the plant going down on the right. He knew it was there, but he didn't know that Musi was creeping on up. Ninjas in Pyjamas on their map will take the very first round.
Nothing to be done, I suppose, about that. It's going to end as it started. Ninjas in Pyjamas in a strong position. Started things off with a great pick upstairs. That was Uno, gone. One of the more relevant players on the roam up there. Then Kanto Raketti assists Ninjas in Pyjamas. And okay, well, it's looking pretty bad, but not an impossible position for G2 to find themselves. And then the third kill that came in on one of the anchors, I believe. No, sorry, correction. That was actually the last roamer upstairs in small office, because Ninjas in Pyjamas cleared into the top floor pretty swiftly, I gotta say. Once that came in, it was pretty much over for G2, and there was a little bit of work done by the remaining anchors from G2 to try and, I guess, slow it down, maybe clutch it up. But ultimately, Kanto Raketti trying to rotate back into the site. A few seconds left, he gets cut down. That's pretty much the end of the round. I was thinking to myself, maybe those last two G2 players, they can clutch it out. Maybe they can set up the crossfire. The hold will work, but no. I want to quickly shift over to what's happening here in this round, because look at this. Teller's defense, G2 setting up, and all of the relevant holes have been highlighted thanks to our spectator. I actually don't know who it is, but I'm going to guess it's Medics, just off the top of my head. Hey, I did it. He's showing us how they're setting up the top floor. Impacts on the floor, covering the default plan spot, covering the rotation from Workshop to A. And you can also see that there's going to be a large emphasis placed, that wall right there being covered from above. You can see that there's going to be a large emphasis placed on holding onto Fountain. at Sir Boss's Kaid Electro Claws. They're going to prevent that entry there. You can also C4 over that to try and destroy exothermic charges.
And it can connect, and we've seen teams do that, in Fountain in particular, when they just sit against the wall and wait very patiently. This was most noticeable yesterday, actually, in the G2 Fnatic matchup, but it was from G2's perspective, who didn't fall off that wall, as you noted, and I believe it was Kanto playing on the Mozzie, who had gone undetected for so long. So, obviously G2 coming to play, not going upstairs to Armory just yet, and Vents is still open as they lost their defense. But this Bathroom Teller's sites pick rate has soared over this tournament, and I think you said it best at the start of this map, is that Border is kind of played out. It is a bit of a hell in a cell for a lot of teams. You know exactly what's going to happen. It just comes down to gunfights more often than not, as there is such a routine with how and where you take. So how do you flip that on its head and get an advantage as a defender? You go to a bomb site that doesn't usually get played, and that's exactly what a lot of teams tend to be doing.
That's the thing, is they tend to be doing it. It's going to become predictable at some point. It's going to become like the norm. I think it already is starting to get there. This tournament might be ushering that in. But it's still much better than going to Armory or Ventilation often, because they're just so the same thing every time. Even attacking onto Ventilation can sometimes be the same as attacking onto Armory. That's an interesting Electro Claw. It has been called out by Ninjas in Pyjamas. Likely onto the triple wall. Yes, it is on triple wall, so it would be slowing that down. There is no Thatcher, as G2 banned it earlier, which means that Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to have to go get that Electro Claw by attacking the site.
Fabian has Psycho on his cardiac sensor. You can see it in his hands. A 9-meter range is good enough to see the Zofia. Both Psycho and Kamikaze, star players for NIP, have had a not great tournament, but not dreadful tournament. They are in the negatives, which is so surprising to see, and a large part of that is the depth and abilities from Muzi and Pino. Julio having a great tournament as well. However, Pino, who was one of the aforementioned players from NIP, well, he's not going to have a good round. He gets taken out of action by the play from Kanto Ricchetti. Psycho gets himself back up after he withstands, and Sir Boss taken out from G2. But there's 30 seconds. Down goes Kanto Ricchetti. Say goodbye to the Mozzie. Above, you've got Uno just sitting and waiting. He might be engaged in a fight with Kamikaze here, and the carbine is obviously the weapon that you want to have in your hands. Some damage done to Fabian as well, as things will need to heat up. This site tends to go quickly, and, well, down goes Fabian. What little was left is now removed. From above, great coverage from Pengu. He'll take out Psycho, looking for another, toying around, but there's the people above, and Muzi in particular. He's on the second floor, not taken out of action. G2 not expecting that one, and 2 rounds in a row for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Really big round there from Muzi, and I think possibly a 4K. Might have miscounted that one, but it was an impressive round regardless. Yeah, you can take a look at that, actually. It must have been because, wow, look at that score line. Muzi, the major contributor for Ninjas in Pyjamas as a whole. So over that last round, there's a lot of little things to highlight. Main thing that I want to highlight is that Ninjas in Pyjamas did not fully clear the top floor until the very end of the round. That's strange. And it still worked out for them. Generally speaking, on a teller's take, you're going to hit that top floor first. Now, a couple things also. G2, that Electric Claw downstairs, thanks to the Thatcher ban, that forces your attackers to then come into tellers, the actual bomb site, before hitting upstairs, assuming they want to utilize that triple wall, because they have to get rid of the Electro Claw. Now, that's a really neat way of setting it up for G2, and I really appreciate that ban, and that whole concept is smart, and I love to see it. It didn't work out though, because Ninjas in Pyjamas, to put it bluntly, they went in and they won gunfights. The angle play from NIP was good. The way that they set themselves up, solid. The biggest thing though is that Ninjas in Pyjamas came together into the site or into top floor, and when they were coming in together, the angles closed in too quickly on G2. They couldn't win any gunfights because there were very few 1v1s.
It was an isolated play from G2, right? And this is a team where they're so used to playing together to be able to get those trades, and well, when you're not playing anywhere remotely close to one another, things aren't going to go too well. I think they've been taking Harry's advice too literally, Michael. They may come together so they may be stronger apart.
Oh, yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. I got that one, Parker, because it happens to pertain to Siege.
Nice.
Thanks. I'm very proud of myself. For those of you who who are confused, don't worry about it.
He says that at every introduction, Harry, from...
Yeah, every time.
No, but this is a team, G2 that is, who are notorious for always being within 5 seconds of each other. When they were at their peak, it was something that was discussed ad nauseum with, you know, you'd never be too far off to refrag or trade and establish crossfires, etc. I mean, right now, Kanto and Uno are in that position. One fight by Uno as Pino just gets absolutely buried. That's a fight that really should not have been lost from Nip, but Uno makes it happen, and that can build some confidence as he can continue to go. There was a joke among pro players where it's like, when you get a kill on land, it's like you get plus 10 to strength, and you can continue to roll with that. That is a kill that probably builds about 20 to 30 from Uno.
Yeah.
Also, soft destruction, gone. Frag grenades, gone. That is a massive kill onto Pino.
You've also got a second set there in Psycho, but of course, the more the merrier when it comes to frag grenades. So yeah, absolutely huge. Missed opportunity there from Muzi. He's looking for the kill, but he's wary of the fight back from Kanto. Ooh, there's the angle. Kanto sees the head. He comes off the angle at the worst possible time. Unlucky timing there, but it's fine for G2 because they still have that man advantage, and the time is starting to tick away. On this, the first Armory defense, G2 is looking pretty solid thanks to their Roman CCTV and customs.
Pengu's got default cam still up. He's sitting at bunker, allowing Fabian to creep up, knowing that the 90 cam is free and clear. What kind of trouble can that Kai get up to? If he goes unspotted, as Muzi doesn't, that's an easy kill for Fabian. No sweat at all, and he will head for the hills. As his conquest onto that CCTV area is as good as you can imagine. Beautiful shot from Psycho. My goodness, shredding through the wall and taking down Sir Boss with him. So you've finally found a kill for Nip. Haven't really done all that much else. Softened up Uno earlier on. Fabian's lost a bit of HP, not too much going for Nip. They will need to collapse on this site, or they themselves risk a collapse in the round. And Kamikaze will join Psycho out on the ventilation area, just looking into the window of B-bomb site. Frag grenade goes in. That'll take out an Evil Eye cam. Uno primed and ready. He can head on in towards Archives. You'll see the L85 in hand as it's Psycho vaulting on in. A creep through offices. Psycho smashing away. They will need to get the plant down. Kamikaze gets shredded by Uno. This round is all but over. Doesn't matter what Julio's doing. Nip, way too spread out and puzzlingly confused with how to assault that round.
Yeah.
Likely from losing those two players earlier on. Still good enough for G2 to be able to win their very first round on defense.
Okay, so I want to highlight something in particular that really bugged me personally from that last round. And that actually happens to be Julio's play on the Nomad. So from my experience, when you're going for a border execute, what you're going to want to do as a Nomad is probably 3 different air jabs. And you can move this, obviously, but those 3 air jabs, in my mind, are going to be right off the bat, initially straight into the round, after CCTV has been cleared, above the break room door. That's the big one. You get that done, that way the rest of your team doesn't need to worry about the flank that we saw, I believe it was Fabian, bring into that last round. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it was Fabian. And he managed to clear out CCTV from Ninjas of Pyjamas. Because Fabian went for that flank, he managed to get that kill. He pretty much just killed that round for Ninjas of Pyjamas on the assault for CCTV, and it's what forced Nip to shift to Office. That's the first air jab. Now, of course, the second air jab and the third air jab are going to both be to assist the repel on Sandwich, so you can go for that armory attack later on. But skipping the step of the air jab and break room door was detrimental to Nip in the end there. And okay, there's other options too. It doesn't have to be an air jab. You can also put a drone and a dead person watching it on 90. You could just set up someone with a gun outside of break room on the balcony to watch the door from afar. But you got to do something if you're Nip to watch the flank from break room. Good play from Fabian to capitalize on that opportunity. The opportunity should not have been presented by Nip. There were so many tools there at Nip's disposal to negate that, and it's a very common rotate on a very predictable map like Border. That was not the only thing that worked against Ninjas of Pyjamas, but it was the final thing that forced Nip to rotate over to Office, and I think at that point the round was pretty much already over.
Yeah. Pino has been the spearhead for Ninjas of Pyjamas. Losing him, regardless of whatever operator he's on, is obviously very crucial.
Yes.
For you to be able to win the round, and well, as you pointed out, he was the very first frag, and even though you did have frag grenades in the hand of Psycho, it was more that you can't really tear up the floor the same way that you would expect a Buck to. So now we go back downstairs for site number 1 in the rotation, as it'll be events and workshop defense. G2 will sit downstairs as well as upstairs. You'll have, it looks to be 3 members of their team on the top floor, 2 on the bottom. Holding inside of Armory with plenty of time wasters on their side of things. A Goyo just to soak up lots of utility. Nip deciding against running a Zofia, so instead they're going to double up on that Sledge and that Buck. That seems to be an operator that tends to be more in their wheelhouse, even though they'd run a Zofia for the first 2 rounds. Opening kill, once again, onto Pino. Not ideal for Ninjas in Pyjamas. The Buck will go nowhere. He just bursts into monitors and is very swiftly ended by Uno. Uno in particular, those opening frags, he is not winning his team the rounds by doing that, but is giving them significant space to work with, knowing that somebody like Pino, who has been one of the best players for NIP and is on a very pivotal role, is gone. Well read by Psycho as he sees the legs of Sir Boss, and goodbye to the Valkyrie playing inside of Bathroom. That is the Valkyrie down, that's the C4 that's down, and that is also somebody watching over the hatches that we just saw Kanto Raketti drop from.
What a great angle there for Psycho to pick up that kill. Been a weird tournament for him overall, not having the same performance that I think people expect out of him, but he still got some pretty impactful kills up his sleeve, and that was one of them. That might bring Nip back into this round after losing Pino so early on. But there's only 40 seconds here for Nip to execute. That's very dangerous. You're coming up against a wall. That wall is G2's defense, but Muzi's going to work that a little bit softer now as Pengu goes down. A second for Muzi onto Uno. He's effectively single-handedly cleared the top floor. Psycho is going to light up Fabian, but Kanto Raketti is going to fight back in the site. He's the only defender now. He's got C4 in hand, and now it's on the wall next to him. He'll have to pick that up and win the fights, but he will actually win one very crucial fight. Not able to deny the plant, and Psycho from the server rack will shut him down on the cross. Nip take their 3rd round.
I was waiting to see the panic in Kanto Raketti if he was actually going to do anything with that, but Nip were sitting down, and they had him isolated in the back of the site. They knew exactly where he was going to go. His only way out was either through the bathroom or through the doorway into the hallway leading up into both bomb sites, in which case the second member of Ninjas in Pyjamas could have very easily covered that. An excellent position from Psycho sitting atop that server, over the desk, lording over the diffuser and the push from any member of G2. Bathroom Tellers back on the menu for G2 is, well...
What? They didn't just win those maps. Oh, they're gone. Okay. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Don't worry about it.
I wasn't looking at the top of the thing.
Sorry. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Okay.
But Bathroom Tellers is where they will go back. What was the story of that ventilation round? Well, I would say more than anything, it was Nip taking quite a while upstairs. The opening picks from both teams really set them back at a very even pace. Pino down, Sir Boss down, no denial from the C4. And then they just cleared the 2nd floor. They had hatch control, they dropped the plant.
The biggest thing for me is the nature at which they cleared the 2nd floor. Because I want to be really explicit about this. I didn't see a drone. I don't think it was anyone droning Muzi in. I think he just took 2 fights, won 2 fights, if that makes sense. That's because that's just what it looked like. Muzi was playing a very small, very tight angle into small office upstairs, or to mini, as most North Americans call it these days. And he managed to get that kill. And then right after, Uno challenges, loses the fight. Again, that's Muzi being the... I gotta say, I really gotta say, I think Muzi has proven himself over this tournament, especially, to be the real standout on NIP. It's some pretty scary stuff when you've got him fragging out. And I don't think, and that's the really cool thing too, because I don't think that he's the only one on NIP who's capable of contributing in that way. You've got Psycho as well, Kamikaze, Julio, Pino, really everybody on NIP, and that's the depth there on this roster. At this tournament, we've seen every single player on NIP step up in one round or another, or in one match or another, and contribute serious amounts to the overall win, whether it be in the actual kill feed or in just the information they're gathering, just the sheer quantity of utility put out by one player. In this case, right now, for me, it's definitely Muzi. We're only 4 rounds in. He's got, what, 8 kills?
Muzi and Pino, the 2 newest additions to this team, the core being Psycho, Kamikaze, and Julio that have been around since the test of time. As Musi, one of the newer additions, will go toe-to-toe with Sir Boss, the newest addition to G2, loaned on out, and C4 possibly used, but no, Sir Boss has 3 separate members of NIP shooting at him. That is not a spot that you are ever going to emerge from. No player is going to win in that position. It just does not happen. So, Pino's got one above. That is the Mozzie of Kanto Raketti. He was playing the holes opened, and frag grenade gets tossed in, it gets burned. Kanto knows somebody that's there now. With the Roni in hand, while it doesn't have a large magazine, it does significant damage and has next to no recoil. But there we go, a reload from Kanto as Pino just sits and waits. Uno takes out Kamikaze. Is there the cavalry coming to his aid? No, the answer is no. Psycho guns down Kanto Raketti. Advantage goes back in favor of G2. 50 seconds to go. Pengu's still over top, watching those openings in the floor. Has he been droned out? That's the question. The one thing with Kamikaze dying also means that the diffuser was dropped, Michael, so this is going to be NIP's focus is let's go get it and go from there. It's about a room or two away from the site. Some shots being done into the feet of a member of Ninjas in Pyjamas as Pengu watches from above, sees the puck, losing that one to Pino. Beautiful shot, and down goes Uno as well. Fabian in a 1v3. He sees one, cannot land the shots onto the Nomad. That's Julio just simply being better with his accuracy. Hard to do that with the UMP in hand for Fabian. 4-1 for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
What a big round there for NIP, as that's going to solidify their lead, in my opinion. The clear on the top floor was solid. Look at this, tactical timeout, guessing by G2. Yep, there it is on your screen. It's Shaz calling the timeout. Gonna try and instruct his team, maybe fix the problems that we're having right now.
I think it's a wise time to do that.
Yeah.
Though, as I'd mentioned when we were watching Fnatic play TSM earlier, by calling a tactical timeout with just 1 round left, you don't really have a lot of time to do much for this half, and at which point G2's focus will then shift to their attack, which is what I imagine Shaz is going to see as he and Fabian work together in order to try and either settle this team down or prep them. We do know heading in, stats-wise, this is not a strongly favored map from G2. Statistically, they are not particularly good on it over the last couple months, and because of this, well, this is par for the course for NIP, who obviously like this map. That's why they picked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not been played very much by NIP, but like that doesn't really, over the last few months, right? So it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. All that tells us is that we don't know. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's the map that is banned most against NIP. This is the map that people do not want to play Ninjas in Pyjamas on, according to the statistics. So that does speak to what we're seeing here. Of course, it is NIP's map pick, so that's what you expect, right? But this is still looking pretty desperate. And yeah, you're right that I don't know if that's the right time for a timeout just because of the cap, but at the same time, I think G2 needed a second to reset. That's another thing. Yeah, they were looking pretty distraught.
They were not in the best of spirits yesterday, right after their loss to Fnatic, but, well, I mean, this team has been in positions where they have suffered almost as significant a loss, though I think losing at the Six Invitational is probably one of the biggest they've ever had. I would still say that their biggest loss was likely to Empire, or maybe Team Liquid. Probably Empire, though, in Raleigh, I would say, is their biggest loss.
I think the Team Liquid one was especially, it was heavy, but it wasn't a major. So, like, it was just Pro League final.
It was in the midst of the Lion meta, which a lot of teams treat as, like, amnesia. Like, hey, we don't really care about the Lion meta. But then additionally, just had Kanto on the team for, what, 10 days at that point?
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the Liquid loss was Atlantic City. So it was Season 7, I want to say. And that was when Team Liquid actually managed to win, which was a pretty significant one because that was actually the first international, like, major LAN event that LATAM had won. And, well, anyway, Ninjas in Pyjamas trying to keep LATAM in it, trying to be one of those LATAM teams in it. They'll go for a Montaigne play on their last attacking round coming in to the Teller's Archives.
Psycho just courting danger inside of the B-bomb site. He tries to draw out and just get some information on G2 as to who is playing where. However, what it has done is forced one member of G2 down below. It's Sir Boss on the Maestro. You want the Maestro positioned upstairs, so you don't necessarily want him in a position where he's not going to be all that active. Bullet holes from Uno as well as Kanto watching separate angles. Obviously, those bullet holes have very little counterplay. Diffuse is going down right now. There's nobody inside of A. And Psycho, with everybody still alive, just needs to run on out. Kanto Ricchetti getting sprayed down by the G8. Diffuser is successful. There's a kill from Muzi, but Pengu had started things off. This must be a head scratcher for G2 and not what they wanted after taking that timeout. Sequestered in the corner is the shield of Psycho as Pino and Muzi come alive, another from Muzi. He's just going to continue to rack it up, 11 kills on him, and Sir Boss, who was pushed down below before, he's going to have to exit through the doorway. He knows there's an air jab there. Playing around it, can he see it? No, he gets knocked on over and sprayed through the wall. Nip, what an incredible round and an absolute way to break the spirit of G2 after they take that timeout. Excellently played from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and the read, that armory was entirely clear, done so well. And I wonder how much of that was that the shield comes into Archives, they see 3 members of G2. Sir Boss gets pushed downstairs, and immediately Psycho gets out of there and then heads straight over to Armory to Sandwich, where a drone goes in through Armory. They realize that the monitors play is where the remainder of G2 is, and there's absolutely nobody in Armory whatsoever.
Well, that realization must have probably, I would say, that realization probably pushed Ninjas in Pyjamas into overdrive, take control of the site, isolate a plant spot, get it down, done. And they had the Montaigne to assist, of course. Lots of layers to that, but mostly I would just say that Nip just pushed straight into the site and were not too terribly contested. That's the big thing. I don't think that Nip were threatened at all by the way that G2 were set up. And you can call that whatever you want, but that is a fact. You can tell by the way they played the round. And the actual result at the end, I think, speaks for itself as well. So, there you go. 5-1 right now for Ninjas in Pyjamas. You gotta imagine that this map is done. However, we have seen 5-1s to answer back on 5-1s. It could be side base. It's entirely possible that G2 are going to come alive on the attack and then bring it all the way to overtime. Or maybe even just win it out. Maybe they'll have a better record on this half than Nip had on their attacking half. We've seen crazy matches like that before in the past. These first rounds in the second half are going to be, well, obviously the decider there, because it's only going to take 2 rounds for Nip to lock this out. Some aggressive play for Ninjas in Pyjamas in CCTV. They'll also be holding 90. We've seen this position played by a number of different people. I imagine there is a Vulcan in the hallway. It's just been detonated. There you can see. The reason Psycho put that down the hallway instead of close to him is because he wants to continue to play 90. He's got an Evil Eye to give him information, 2 ADSs to protect him from stuns, and he's going to be able to challenge not only East Stairs, but also just in general hold that long hallway, preventing maneuverability for G2.
Very well played there by Nip, and a little bit of a change from what we've seen from them before. Frag grenade goes in, Julio gets downed. Beautiful throw. He'll try to crawl down the hatch, but he's going to have to hurry. Psycho might be able to open this up. Will he get there in time? No, Mark's coming in, so you know that if he hits the deck, somebody from G2 is going to be there to get him. But Nip managed to bail Julio out of that one. He does not go down. So the smoke is back as the wall being cut open by Sir Boss. Eventually that sheet metal will start to fall, and there we go. Soft entrance on in. Evil Eye spotted over as well by 90, as you had mentioned, as the toxic canister goes out. They knew they'd down the smoke, but now information is, hey,
what?
Didn't actually kill them. I don't.
So I want to be clear about one thing. The way that the damage works on the smoke is really weird and inconsistent, and the actual smoke graphic is super hard to like follow to where the damage is going to land. We used to have that same problem with normal smokes, but anyway, moving on. Uno is going to eliminate Julio inside of triple as he tries to get a little too aggressive there. Ninjas in Pyjamas have only 50 seconds to hold things out. Luckily for Nip, they have done some damage to Pengu and Sir Boss, as well as Fabian, who are all going to die a little bit easier in engagements. They also are in a good position overall to just wait this out, and as Psycho adds to Nip's tally, or begins their tally rather, it's looking a little bit better. Fabian, though, with an entry. Cancer Ketty adding to that as well. Pengu in sight. He's going to do some serious damage. Muzi now by Fountain, the last one alive. He gets 1. Sees the second. Can't land the shot. Follow-up misses 2. He's going for a 3rd try. He gets it, finally. But the diffuser down. In a 1v2, Not going to be very easy. Zerboss on Repel. One in office, and there it is. Zerboss gets off Repel. G2 takes the round. And that's the first of the second half going towards the team that needs the rounds the most.
I wonder what they're possibly discussing here. Obviously not very happy with how close that round was. G2 obviously a team where they are not going to be particularly excited if a round that they should have won lopsidedly ends up becoming much closer. So, anywho, now we look towards round number 8, and it is going to be another Armory Lockers defense for NiP. They're going to change a couple things up. They're going to forego the Goyo shield. They're going to bring out the ACOG from Doc. Also strange to see Maestro on there and not have him have an ACOG and just continue to... It's weird to see.
It is weird because, you know, you're so used to it.
It's weird to see because you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's an ACOG operator, and then you realize, like, oh, actually, he's not. So
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Pino is playing operator called Maestro. He used to have an ACOG, which is considered to be a very powerful sight in this game. It gives you a 2.5 times magnification, and he put it on the Alda, which had a really large magazine, so he was like the operator to anchor play, because you could just hold off an entire 5-man push with that one gun. They took off the ACOG, so now you have to use other 1x optics, which is great, because it limits the possibilities, but the Alda is still super powerful. So he's still a prevalent operator, and his weaponry still one of, I think, high selection. Interestingly, we're going to be seeing the same setup on 90 for Ninjas and Pyjamas. ACOG being brought on a different 3 armor. That's Doc being whipped out there from Psycho.
a good Doc can keep your team in it for a long time. The staying potential from Psycho if he plays far enough back with the stims, as well as just the ability to get an early pick. Holding monitors was instrumental for NiP to be able to kill a lot of time at the start of round number 7, and, well, no surprise. It's exactly where Muzi is going to be played. That Evil Eye Cam at 90 is there as well, trying to burn out ADSs. Ooh. Excellent shot from that bullet hole from Psycho. It looks like it's just 2, and Kanto Raketti very narrowly misses out on being killed.
Yeah, this is dangerous play from Psycho, but he could also net a kill out of it. Those bullet holes are so hard to trace, and that's why they're a hot topic these days. Ninjas and Pyjamas trying to hold on to Office. And you can see the Maverick chewing away at the wall. Boss is trying to be very careful this time, because last time he actually tried to open that wall, but then he missed some part somewhere and had to go for the middle panel instead. This time he gets it first try. That's solid there. G2 will be able to open up the wall exactly where they want to this time.
Is Julio going to be as aggressive as he was in the past? That is the question. He swung on this opening, and he paid for it, as Uno was the better shot. The SMG-11 in hand is not exactly the gun you want at that angle. It looks like Julio might be going for it again. You can toss out a toxic canister, but once that wall has been opened up, G2 has entirely left the vicinity. And instead, they will head on over towards monitors, where Muzi gets spotted, narrowly gets away, and will come back. I don't know if he is aware that there's a player on Repel. He should have seen the tracers. This is bad as the walls close in on Muzi.
There's 4 people trying to kill Muzi right now. Some on drone, some on Repel, but others just, I mean, putting a pressure from all over the place. And NiP are trying to punish. Look at the time being wasted here from Muzi.
Psycho's called that there's at least one member of G2 heading on over towards the position where Muzi is playing. Psycho gets a kill, down goes Sir Boss. Stunned is Muzi, but he still manages to frag despite it. Julio found by Fabian, then Fabian gets found by Muzi. So that game of Duck Duck Goose ends up working out in favor of NiP. Great shot from Uno onto Muzi, tracks him down, and now almost full control for monitors. But this angle being held by Psycho, if Uno isn't careful, it could be the death of the Nomad. That would just leave Pengu in a 1v3, but I think Uno is wise to it. It's now Uno in a 1v3 though. He sees the Doc, downs him. No, the Doc's actually just hit the deck, pistol out, but you know you've lost the fight when that comes out. And it's 6-2, match point for NiP. They are making very quick work of G2 on their map.
I mean, I guess to some extent that's what you expect, because it is Ninjas and Pyjamas map, and again, as we talked about earlier, it's a map that NiP are very comfortable on, not so much for G2. But, I mean, really, most of that, to me, comes down to a few things that add up to one thing in particular. The one thing being time management from G2. The time management was poor. The few things that are going to add to that are, first of all, G2 started their take at office. They opened up triple wall. They tried to do a lot of work with that, but ultimately accomplished nothing because they couldn't dislodge Julio, who had double ADSs inside a suicide. Okay, so that's the first layer. So what does G2 do? Well, they're like, oh, we'll just attack armory. That's fine. We could do that. No problem. We still got enough time for that. And to be fair, they did. They had about half the round, maybe a little bit more, when they decided to make that rotation. So what do? They rotate over to CCTV. Cool, smart, excellent. That's fine. Go for it. But on that rotation, they failed to deal with Muzi, a single player inside of CCTV. Just the one guy. Usually you'll have 2, maybe 3, holding CCTV even if it's an extended hold and you're serious about holding it. But no, it's just Muzi, just the one. And G2 can't pinch him with 3 to 4 people trying all at once with droners and gunners making the push in. Now, to be fair, there was one little added benefit there for Muzi. He had Psycho in the hallway, not in CCTV, but in the hallway, holding this door that he's staring at right now, where he's going to get another kill on. That's Fabian gone right off the bat.
If there's anybody that's going to be pissed off by that,
it's Fabian.
It's Fabian.
Yeah.
So, down in the dirt, Fabian goes. Worm food for this round. 30 seconds in, and Nip look to secure with another frag or 2. A victory on border, sending us on over to Coastline with the Brazilian team looking to knock G2 out of this tournament.
Just to round out that, my thought there, really just, yeah, the rotation came in after, I guess, the office take didn't work out, and nothing came of it because they hit the Muzi wall. That's that. That's G2's round. They'll have to do better than that. Having lost a player early on, I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see.
No frags left. That means that the way that Kanto Raketti plays with the lifeline is going to be very different. Sir Boss heads on to drone, and he'll look up towards armory. Now, with this being a ventilation workshop defense, you expect quite a lot of resistance on that top floor. No surprise that that's exactly where Nip has stacked up. However, they have given some concessions to G2 in this war between them, and it happens to be over towards monitors. So we can tell that G2 has full control of monitors as they wanted, but so too does Julio. He knows that. Air jab gets hit, but there's no follow-up from G2, so Nip doesn't give anything away in the process. That's an ideal result when you hit an air jab.
Boss is trying to open up the wall again using that Maverick blowtorch. Oh, an aggressive play from Pino. He wants the feet, he sees them, and he lands the shots. There goes Sir Boss. That's why you have someone stare through the holes on the attacking side when you're opening it, if you're serious about getting the wall. G2 now find themselves back 2 men. And Psycho's gonna make that 3 as Pengu gets eliminated on Repel. Here's an entry from Uno. He's doing his best, but just isn't enough. Kanto Raketti in a 1v5, all against Nip.
He knows how dire the situation is, and a flawless round for Ninjas in Pyjamas on that very final round that we need. What a performance from them. G2 obviously not being very comfortable at all on this map, and Nip punishing them on attack and on defense. Brazil is at risk of losing both of their teams today. MIBR is up next. Will Nip falter? Will Europe be the region that loses both of their teams today? They're on the ropes, but Nip emerged victorious after map 1, 7-2.
Muzi dropping 15 kills. Psycho not too far behind with 11. And nobody on G2 putting up those types of numbers. Let's hear what the analysts think about that map number 1.
I don't even know what to think right now. All right, NIP, the Brazilians in Pyjamas, are 1 map away from sending G2 home. Imzo, can you even wrap your mind around this?
I mean, it's very clear G2 can. Like, they were not wrapping anything around anything other than probably body bags at this point. The teamwork was absolutely not there from G2. It was like a bunch of ranked players playing separate. I mean, they weren't playing ranked style, but they were playing so individual. If they could just support Kanto or Uno, even the slightest bit better.
Yeah.
They could have been so much further along in this, and they were so in their heads. You could see it during the timeout. They need to get it. The one saving grace for G2 right now is I think they're prepared to lose this map.
And besides them playing so spread out to where they were unable to get those refrags and trades that they desperately needed in this matchup, they also played scared.
They absolutely didn't. Honestly, I think that the idea here going into this map for G2 is play it like they're playing against a team that wants to tick all the boxes, open up all the walls, and do a really standard push. So we saw on defense G2 picking Kaid. I know I get in trouble if I said. I knew I'd get in trouble if I said Kaid. So they're playing Kaid. They're doing fancy Electroclaw spots. They're denying areas, and NIP doesn't care because Muzi, he's just going to peek everyone with that G8A1 on IQ. I think that this was just a bad read from G2. If you're going up against NIP right here, you're starting defense, you need to play like headless chickens. Run out of every window you see, start making plays. The only round G2 won was where Kanto was playing Ella, Fabian was flanking CCTV playing Kaid. You just need to loosen up.
Yeah, that's all it really is. The fact that Muzi was able to run around the map and pick off kills one by one, especially on Armory Wall, how he was able to get the double kill, that shouldn't happen. But the one round, that just annoyed me. The fact that Muzi was in office, CCTV that entire time, it was almost 2.5 minutes. All of G2 cannot get him out of there, and then they ran out of time at the end of the day.
You can't just 1v1 him out of there. Like, he's rocking the 3 speeds. You need to pinch him. We just didn't see a whole lot of pinching going on other than maybe to try and wake G2 up.
And they almost did that right because they used a Zafir concussion to stun him and they knew where he was. And then seconds, almost after the stun was worn out, they slowly pushed in and really tentatively peeked every corner and not together. And Muzi was allowed 2 or 3 kills in that position. Those kills, they shouldn't have been able to happen because G2 should have been tighter on their refrags.
Chat, that can't happen. But also, NIP, they did some beautiful things in that game. Tell us more about round 6 where Psycho was on Monty and he had that nice plan.
I mean, G2 were already struggling a lot with their intel in terms of communication, in terms of spotting what was going on. But they were bringing the mute Mozzie, trying to deny that from NIP. So what did NIP do? They bring in Monty. But what they did was so smart. He peeks in, sees what's going on in Archives, is like, I'm good, forces Sir Boss to drop, right? So now there's less people up there. There's clearly a drone over in the locker side. They see an opportunity. You know what he does? He goes, I think I'm gonna have a sandwich for lunch. Goes right over to sandwich, plants. Doesn't even smoke cover. He just goes, this is me now, plants. And then all they gotta do is repel that window, deny plant. Because there's no way to long arm it around a locker. It was just really smart play off of them having the intel they needed.
And they had the intel they needed, but G2 didn't. What G2 did in that moment, the moment they saw Monty and Sir Boss drop down the hatch with Maestro, all of G2, they rotated around the Archives. They were watching the rotations going over to attack Sir Boss, leaving all of Locker's area wide open. G2, this doesn't look like G2 to me.
It was a great read from NIP through and through every single time G2 had an idea. I think that they just missed the mark. Their mentality going into this game of what is the recipe to beat NIP, it's just they're looking in the wrong cookbook because I don't think that they had any semblance of direction.
I think the upside, though, is Coastline, I think, will be a map that they can play a little more confidently on, especially if they can play a strong roam and a little more aggressive. I could see G2 getting back some of that momentum. But at the same time, NIP right now, they're looking very, very comfortable as a whole team. And G2, you saw during the timeout, still in their heads like they were yesterday. I was half expecting Shaz to start slapping them just to be like, come on, guys, especially Pengu. You see him, he was struggling with his performance.
Is that like him?
No, but he's been so self-critical lately. Oh, it's a pity invite, things like that. Humbleness sometimes can turn into just self-pity at some point, self-loathing. And that's not the formula to win.
Oh man, where's the Mamba mentality at? So, Imzo said that, Coastline could be good for G2, but after what we saw map 1 on Border, the way NIP were able to have their way with G2, Dev Marta, is this going to be a 2-0?
It's possible. For map 1, G2 were at a bit of a loss for information because NIP haven't played it, but map 2, look, it's G2's map pick, and I don't want to see the defending champions go out of Six Invitational without a fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have all been waiting for. G2 with their backs against the wall. Now it's do or die. Parker and Kickstar, take it away.
Thank you very much, analysts. Thank you very much, Veli. Thank you, Dev. Thank you, Emzo. And then, of course, thank you to the other analysts, Jess, Saronic, and Milos.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank
everywhere,
you to
all over the place.
my mom.
Oh, is she watching?
Probably not.
Oh, well, that's a pity.
She's busy.
Here we are on Coastline, a very balanced map, another frag-heavy map similar to Border, and G2 faces elimination now from the Six Invitational. Ninjas in Pyjamas, a formidable team. They entered as the first team out of Group C. G2, of course, was the first in Group D. And, well, NIP sit atop Latin America standings. G2 are sitting close to being atop the EU standings. NIP do not like Hibana. They don't want to deal with her. So she's gone, joining Dokkaebi as the two attacker bans.
So I'll be real with you guys. I think that Hibana is probably the only real useful hard destructor on this map for the majority of bomb sites. The odds of you seeing a Thermite used or a Maverick used on this map are low. There are some applications to both of those operators, of course. Like, Thermite's really great on double bar if you're coming for an office take, because then you have to open up the blue bar wall. You could also not do that and still get away with that attack, though. Of course, I hear a lot of you saying, well, Kickstar, what about Penthouse? Well, I hear you. You're absolutely right. Penthouse, really great to have a Thermite there. Nobody defends Penthouse in competitive Siege. So, hey, you know, maybe we'll get an upset on that one in this match. Maybe there's going to be some Penthouse play, but I sincerely doubt it. Double bar going to be the first bomb site for G2. And yeah, I agree. I think that's a pretty smart Hibana ban. One thing about Hibana, especially on this map, is actually the fact that you can use her on the cocktail bar wall or the pink bar wall if you're North American, because that's going to not only hurt the anchor play on billiards, but also cut off the roam on double bar and even kitchen. So that's a really powerful position to use those Hibana Excaros. Also, I mean, you could do the same thing by main lobby on a kitchen defense. It's a lot of applications, so a smart ban.
We need to reinforce the fact that neither of these teams have played this map at the Six Invitational thus far, so it is a brand new kick at the can for these teams. It just has not been in their, I guess, portfolio or purview to come here and play, so I mean, it's going to be a very unexpected shootout. Now, G2 obviously are no stranger to this map. They have won some pretty notable events on this one in particular and lost as well.
Beat Empire in Pro League most recently. The last time they played this on this map was a 7-4. That was a big win there for G2 in Pro League standings, because I think that was a lot of people actually tuned in for that, because it was going to change a lot about where those squads sat upon the Pro League standings overall. But also, it was exciting because, you know, G2 Empire. Also, Coastline. G2 Empire, Coastline, that's a story. And it was a good match. But there's, similar to Border, actually, for Ninjas in Pyjamas, this is a map that they just haven't played in the last few months.
Yeah.
Like, this and Border, and actually, there's 4 maps that NIP just haven't been playing recently. Bank, Border, Coastline, Villa. This is one of them, so we'll see how it pans out for the LATAM squad.
It still applies, by the way. Bank was the 3rd map twice for NIP, but they never needed it either time, and Villa has been banned against them or for them every time, as Villa has not been played by NIP either in this tournament.
There's another little interesting statistic. This is the most banned map by NIP recently over the last few months. They do not like playing this map, as is evident by their bans.
Maybe they're as proficient on it as we saw from G2 on Border, which is to say not proficient at all. Huh. Lion for Pino goes out, and there's a fire arrow. Does it push off Pengu? One goes down. That's Pino. He's dropped from the play from Fabi and inside a blue bar. Secure is not really something in his grasp. There's a Nitro Cell that goes sailing out and will finish off the Lion, who was largely immobilized, as Muzi trades out a Kanto Raketti for that C4 kill onto Pino. The Lion was in a position to possibly be recovered over by the smaller ruins, and then a missed shot from Muzi, because it's a confidence booster from Uno. Just poor aim in the 1v1 from IQ as he wanders through the kitchen and meets his demise. That's half of the round with an advantage for G2 to start off this match.
So far I can tell why Ninjas in Pyjamas don't like going to this map, because the way that they've set themselves up on this this double bar, is they've gone for just, they were mostly just set up outside on the west side, holding angles in through windows. The most proficiency I've seen from NIP so far, like the clearest sign that that tells me they know what they're doing on this map, was the way that Kamikaze set up that bolt on the pixel angle that led into where Pengu is playing by pink, or default spot. Other than that, not a lot of like evident knowledge from NIP. They've got control of service entrance, but that's a kind of difficult place to be because they set themselves between a rock and a hard place. The rock being the main lobby play from Fabian that you see here. They have managed to shatter that rock though, so beautiful shot from Kamikaze. That'll open things up for Nip actually. And with the low HP on G2 on the anchors, it's going to be pretty easy to carve through them when they go for the site take. Things are looking solid for Nip all of a sudden as they shift to an assault. Here comes the C4 from Servas. Kamikaze and Psycho coming in. One, but not the other. Psycho loses it to Uno though, and it's just Julio. He'll lose out to Uno as well. A beautiful hold for G2, and they will put the first round on the board.
Sloppy play by Ninjas in Pyjamas, answered well by G2, who didn't need to give up too much, and honestly could have been far more definitive around if Fabian hadn't whiffed most of his shots inside of that main lobby. So G2, comfortable on the double bars. Nip, not comfortable really at all. And with Lion being brought out consistently by Nip, assuming that this pattern continues, as it looks like, unless it's 6th pick bait, that Pino will once again run the paralyzing, annoying operator, if you want to refer to him as such, then Nip will be able to capitalize off of that offsite play. However, there is a hard counter in the hands of G2, and it's Pengu on that mute. So he's not going to be Ella this time. It's going to be a mute play. And by doing so, you can sit on those mute jammers and you don't get affected by the EE1Ds, not one iota. The 6th pick is actually onto a Twitch, so that's what Julio will bring, a little bit extra firepower as G2 heads upstairs to go to Hookah. A lot of that fighting between these two teams in that first round occurred outside through windows as G2 got more aggressive than we've seen from them on the border matchup. G2 will obviously need that because border didn't go the way they had expected. They weren't even really able to put up much of a fight at all. It was largely a mercy killing from Ninjas in Pyjamas. So, turn our sights towards a Hookah defense.
5 seconds remaining.
Doors may be prepped, but I doubt Uno Meister with the UMP, and knowing how valuable that cardiac sensor is, he's going to be going out the window, but this might be a stall tactic. Very common for one of the defenders to play downstairs with a C4 in hand, especially in the later portions of rounds. So Kento Raketti obviously doesn't have access to that as a Jaeger, but Sir Boss does. So 2 members of G2 that will just simply toil on that bottom floor. It will be up to Nip to be able to drone them out. The pulse spotted inside of Penthouse, actually playing more specifically inside of the bathroom, but the IQ will be the natural predator. And Uno will have to run as fast as he can and hope that he doesn't get picked off. Missed shots at the first time, but no, Julio will connect, and that's extremely well played by Nip. Textbook flush to take out the pulse.
Props to Julio, right time, right place. The whole clear though from Psycho, and the rest was pretty standard, like you said, textbook. Really well executed. G2 trying to retake here, actually. Fabian's worked his way into DJ in VIP. He gets aggressive, but loses the fight to Muzi, who was cautiously peeking to VIP. He was wary of that potential aggression. Pengu's actually in a position to get aggressive as well. G2 are throwing everything at their opponent, kind of unsure what to do, and so they'll get very aggressive. Pengu opens up an aggressive angle into VIP as well. But Nip are ready for this. They're trying to take the fight. Here's Cantor Ketty at the top of main stairs. He'll get Pino. EE1D not working against him.
Heads downstairs unpunished with no retrade or no trade or refrag potential from Ninjas in Pyjamas. So down below goes Pino into the ground. 6 feet under, I think you could say.
Yes.
Repel sounds being made just next to Pengu. There's another for Muzi. He's been hot through both of these matchups. He was well into the double digits in map number 1, and he's looking to do so yet again on map 2, and a strong start with 2 kills in round number 2. Sir Boss chased off down below with Pengu directly above him, virtually on top of one another with a single 4 separating them. But Pengu's gone, so Sir Boss will have to retake. He'll be on Cool Vibe stairs. He's stopped. They know his position. Creeping up, pre-fires into the wall. Sir Boss with 1, but it's a double up from Nip. Triple up, you could even say. Because they were all close enough by. No objective play required. You can just go for frags. That Twitch, a good pick for Julio. 2 kills for him, and Nip's very first round here on Coastline.
We saw it hold there for G2 on the roam until it wasn't. The biggest thing is that it seemed like either A, G2 got caught off guard in their reposition, or they got really aggressive for no reason. Because here's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking happened there is that G2 were trying to reposition players to roam by VIP late after they finished their prep, which I get. Like, there's a logic there. It was very late, though, and NiP already had control of Hall of Fame. So the other line of thought is that G2 were actively trying to fight the enemy by VIP and Hall of Fame / Master, that whole area, really, actively trying to contest the roam clear by re-engaging it. And that's just the wrong idea, because when you do that, you get cut off on your retreat by the skylight. Like, if you commit to that, it might work. Yeah, it's a gamble. It's possible, but it's a gamble. But you're not going to be able to get out of that situation. Even if there's just one attacker left, maybe, no, that's unfair. Even if there's 2 attackers left, say you kill 2 by VIP, and then you're still going to get probably cut down if you attempt to rotate. The best bet you're going to have at that point is to wait it out. There's a lot of confusing commitments there made by G2, but it seems like they're just playing with reckless abandon. That's like... That's exactly what we just saw there. That was reckless abandon. That was, oh, I'm just going to peek this, what the heck, you know? Uno clearly doesn't care, really, if he dies or if he gets a kill. He's just playing to... Well, it seems like he's just playing to play at that point. We've seen G2 flip the switch like that before, and it actually sometimes works for them really well. Sometimes that turns into big wins for G2. But it does speak to what's going on here.
It is a bit strange when you see G2, a team that works together as effectively as they do, then decide to go off and be these lone wolf plays, or make these lone wolf plays, and ultimately they fall just short, and then we turn around and we say, well, you know, maybe they just played a little bit closer together, but then when they play closer together and they lose, we're like, well, maybe, you know, Uno's going to be able to do this one. So.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the wrong decision for G2. I wouldn't suggest that.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying you were in this instance. I'm saying in the past.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. What I am saying, though, is that G2 are just playing, it seems like they just want to fight things.
I don't know if Julio has cleared anybody out because there's still a member of G2 in here getting marked. Ella turns around, but Kanto Raketti hesitates for just a moment. Out goes the drone, and it'll scoot on by. Has Kanto been spotted? Yes, he does. In fact, 2 of them spotted. Julio immediately heads on into Courtyard, reads it so well. Down goes 1. It's Musy's turn for some fun as he vaults on through Courtyard, looks in the bathroom. Julio downed. Pengu goes down as well. So 2 members of G2 now removed from action. And there's the last one, as Fabian dives out the window, tries to head back into the safety of the site, and will not be able to do it.
So here's the thing.
NiP right now are just, they are excellent with their drone work.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was about to hit the nail on the head there, Parker. I was about to say, the way that we're seeing G2 play could actually conceivably work really well for them against Ninjas and Pyjamas. Tactical timeout, by the way. Pretty sure that's by G2.
Yes.
If it weren't for the fact that NiP are so thorough on their droning, they're so thorough on their information gathering, they're not taking just randomly, haphazardly. They're all going together as a team. One thing that I really noticed is that, yeah, okay, you've got 1 player on G2 Extended, 3 players, and a droner collapse onto that player all at once. That's exactly what happened on the defender who was playing behind reception. I want to say that was Uno. Well, there's suddenly an entire enemy team surrounding him, and Kanto Raketti was not allowed to help his teammate. Why? Because he was a little bit late to the party, but more importantly, he got droned out. He couldn't get a fair engagement if he pushed and tried. He tries to relocate, gets read perfectly. And even if it hadn't been read well by Julio, there were other players from NiP in the main lobby there to assist Julio. There would have been a refrag. So I kind of like, on the one hand, I kind of like the way that G2 are playing. On the other hand, it's because it can work. It can. On the other hand, it's getting countered exceptionally well by NiP. Now, this is an interesting pick here. Vigil being brought out by Uno. This is going to cut through all of that nonsense.
It's also going to evade the Lion. That's one thing, too, is the ERC cloaking device that you see from Vigil, when activated, is totally immune to Lion. So you don't need to worry about getting droned out or spotted by the Lion gadget if you're Vigil. You can just continue to play around without it. With how well Uno is able to adapt to pushes, and how he can usually persevere when getting pushed on separate occasions, sometimes at the same time by 2 people. that is going to make his chances of surviving much higher than when he was playing on the Jaeger. And if you're going to situate Uno on parts of the map where he is all on his own, completely unsupported, that playing a more selfish operator like Vigil, and when I say selfish, I mean that he doesn't really add much to the team other than wasting time off the clock and allowing you to stay alive and burn through utility, then this might be the right call for G2.
He contributes by building up himself.
Yes.
And I gotta be honest, if you're gonna give one player that role right now, I'd say it's Uno. Not only on this map is he the top performer right now, but also Uno is a top tier, not only roamer, but just solo player. You put him anywhere where he needs to do work by himself, he's gonna get that work done and then some. And him being able to cut through the nonsense that is the drone work from Nip is going to be a large benefit. He will not only delay, but I assume he will probably put in some serious work. I could totally see him getting absolutely destroyed by Nipto now that I've talked it up. I don't know, it happens. Right now though, G2 trying to put up a roam over by Kitchen to slow down the take from Ninjas and Pyjamas. They are gonna just, oh wow, they're actually just gonna ignore it. They're leaving, wow. So that was a really quick call. I have to just mention this. Nip saw the hold in Kitchen and they're like, nah, we're gonna go somewhere else, bye.
Very well read by Nip. The shot calling for Nip over these last two maps, well, the first map and now as far as we are in on this map, has been much better than we've seen from previous Nip games. You remember their game against TSM yesterday? Well, Nip showed some very serious issues, as did TSM, and TSM ended up winning that matchup yesterday, in large part because Nip looked shaky. But Nip doesn't look shaky at all against G2. I don't know if it's just simply a respect for your adversary or not. That grenade almost taking out Kanto Raketti nearly again. It looks like it might have been cooked just a little bit too early. Kanto doesn't know what's coming next, so he's a little bit more hesitant. Run out from the Vigil. Sees the IQ, wins the fight, loses most of his HP. No trade off from Nip as Uno heads right back in. He and Kanto now very much worse for wear. Keep in mind that because Pengu is a rook and not a dock, that means that there is no ability to stim back your teammates, and as such, Uno and Kanto Raketti will just simply continue to exist at this HP as resetting doesn't really happen either. So they are a single bullet each away from death. Serbas also caught off-site. He'll be immobilized by an account of the E1D. And look to come back in through VIP. Final 30 seconds now, and Nip have pressure on both of the sites. They're inside of Aqua, they're holding an angle as well towards Hookah, but they're going to have to hurry. Down below is Uno. He can activate that gadget and work through it, but he does not. He just sits and waits. Nip is in very much risk of stalling out. A run-in and 2 kills from Psycho. The C8 chewing through G2. Down as well goes Kanto Raketti. Serbas spotted in a position where the soft destruction will be able to catch him. One for Julio. It's frantic as Kamikaze gets that diffuser down, and the man of the hour who started this off will be the last one buried for G2. Uno down. Ninjas and Pyjamas 3 rounds in a row.
Big round there from Psycho, and nobody watching Hookah Door. What is going on with those default holds from G2? I'll be honest with you. Holding Hookah Door is actually one of the harder places to hold on that site. It's such an odd angle because the way that you have to position yourself according to the angles that exist outside of Hookah Door, like Hookah Window, or the big window, or Aqua, or even if you're being pressured from VIP Hall or Blue Stairs, wherever it is, the pressure that the attack can apply to you from other locations makes holding Hookah Door kind of awkward. It's just weird. And often that can actually be one of the easier places to push in because of that. And we saw that, I think, highlighted by the way that Psycho came in there. Because nobody was actually staring at the door, because everybody thought somebody else was staring at the door. And then Psycho picks up 2 because, oh, I just walked in, nobody's watching me. Freebies.
It's like that scene from the movie where something happens and they're like, I thought you were watching this.
You
were watching this.
It's exactly that, though.
Yes.
And it is an awkward door to hold. I get that much, but somebody has to do it. And I'm very surprised that the checklist was not tallied off there by G2.
To be fair, Michael, doors shouldn't be held. They should be hinged and affixed to a wall.
Yes, absolutely. If you are a contractor of sorts, someone who works in construction or anything like that, there's a pro tip for you. don't hold your doors in place, because then you're going to have a very long career as, I guess, a door holder.
Played out very well, thank you. Well,
no problem, Parker.
Sir Boss has now been assigned to a roam down below as we get underway with round number 5. Timeout was already called much earlier by G2. It came after that second round, and now, well, it didn't result in anything. The same thing happened with G2 on the previous map. Timeout was called, and Nip still won the very next round, and did so with a bit of a cheeky strategy. That was the Montaigne play on Armory. Now, it was very nearly a flawless round on round number 4. Will round number 5 fare the same? Uno, obviously not liking that Vigil pick. The experiment will end. He will instead go on to mute. It's a role that Pengu is playing, but this looks a lot more similar to what we saw out of the double bar defense from G2, which is the only time that they have successfully defended a site. Pre-placed C4 from Uno is maybe something a little bit different. We didn't catch it in round number 1. What else is G2 going to do different? Well, if you recall, there was a Mozzie on the board for G2, but instead, they've now subbed that out for a Mira. Mira is unbanned on Coastline more often than not, but we don't tend to see her all that much because there's so much soft destruction that it's very easy for a team to be able to just shoot that canister and pop open the Mira, rendering her largely ineffective as an operator in comparison to other defensive ops you can bring.
G2 has been constantly changing their operator lineup to try and fix the problem. And that's fair enough. That is one of the ways that you can go about things. It hasn't worked yet. Sir Boss gonna eat some early damage. He still has life though, and he still has a C4 there. He just tossed it preemptively, I want to say, onto his ceiling, Psycho's floor. If Psycho rotates the build, he might die. There goes Sir Boss though. Pino with the double as he just walks into blue bar is where he's getting these kills. Fabian will shut him down. So Pino's gone, but the damage is done at that point. Those are your anchors. 2 of your main C4s on site gone.
Inside of main lobby, Fabian is spotted as a 3 armor. He won't be the most agile to be able to get away. He will turn and try to contest the F2, both with deceptively high rates of fire, but very limited damage in hand from the Vector in comparison to that F2, which is a headshot machine. I'd rather have the F2 than the Vector. I don't know about you, Michael. Yeah. If they can force Fabian out of the main part of this map, lobby and or courtyard, where Fabian is still playing, as Julio just did on an inhuman shot, then this round will likely be Nips as the collapse on the site starts. And Michael, they say that an avalanche is just a snowflake at the start, and that's an avalanche indeed for Ninjas in Pyjamas. 4 rounds uncontested right now. Nip are showing that even though they don't play this map, they came to play all together and they can adapt well against G2.
Yeah, that's the scary bit, isn't it? This is one of Nip's, well, according to their bans, they think this is one of their least favorite maps. Now, I always talk about this whenever it comes up. Oftentimes, you'll see the most banned map for a team leading up to an event like the Invitational, the type of event you plan for half the year ahead or even a whole year ahead. Often you'll see teams hide a map that they really want to save for the Invitational. That could be the case for Ninjas in Pyjamas. It could be that they are plenty proficient on Coastline and that they've just been banning it because they just are waiting for the moment where it's relevant. And here it is being relevant. That's possible. We won't know unless we were to pick their brains about it. What we do know is that G2 are seriously struggling. We've got players still with no kills. And I think you know, it's been a bad map for Pengu. To have 0 kills must suck at 5 rounds in on the 6th. But at the same time, it's weird to say and weird to see because I think we all know, if you've been watching esports long enough, or Comp Siege, I guess I should say, you know that there's going to have moments where a player will not have like the best performance on a map or something like that. And sometimes that'll run away and be some way that it's how you perceive that player moving on. I think in Pengu's case it doesn't apply because, you know, he's going to have one bad map, sure, but I mean, the career to outweigh it, I don't know if it really matters. As much as this is a really heavy map, I don't see much of G2 playing so much better that he's the one holding the back, because he's not. Right now, it's just Ninjas in Pyjamas. Great coordination. G2 really seriously struggling to get anything going.
I'm just awaiting the tweets about Lion after this matchup because you know they're coming.
Oh, yeah. G2 will be tweeting about Lion.
No, not G2. Mostly G2's fans.
Probably them too, yeah.
We'll likely be talking about Lion.
There will be lots of tweets about Lion from all different corners.
As such, you're still going to continue to see Vigil. This was changed when Lion got reworked to this new iteration, etc., where he is significantly weaker than he used to be. Vigil's ERC now allows him to be immune to it, as well as any operators that stay on mute jammers will also be immune to Lion as well. Same as a mute jammer also silences the logic bombs from Doku.
I mean, it might be just a case of old habits die hard with G2, where they've always hated Lion.
Oh, I mean, most teams don't like playing against an operator like Lion. I called him annoying, and I think that's correct. The defenders think that he's very annoying, and that's his job, that's his role, and he does it quite well.
He's a nuisance.
He is a major nuisance. Down goes Sir Boss, opening duel in favor of Nip. And they're in the middle of sight. They just run right in. The K1A can only do so much. Uno can only do so much. A vault in from Julio trying to find somebody else outside of Kanto Raketti, and now back to a 3v3. But a run out detected. No down here. Nip only taking a tiny bit of damage from that. Instead, they will just tussle. This barn is just absolutely burning down around us. A minute to go, and just so much gunfire. Pengu very low. The IQ will not be able to do much to Fabian. He will be back at full HP, so the Rook gets subbed out. Instead, you will go with the Doc. And Fabian loses essentially nothing in that altercation. He still has a stim pistol they could possibly use on Pengu, but a little too late. E1D popped. Down goes Julio. It's the Lion now in a 1v3. And finally, G2 are able to blunt the momentum that Nip had in spades. We'll switch sides. 4-2 half for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Very firmly set to continue to hold on. I don't know, though. It's defense on Coastline, Michael.
Yeah, it's been a weird one there for G2 in the first half. That round in particular was really strange. Curiously, Ninjas in Pyjamas did not full commit. They had site control. They had what seemed to be a really good setup, and I was thinking to myself, okay, Nip is going to lock this round out. It's going to be a 5-1 going into the second half, but they didn't full commit to the clear into the site. They struggled with the retake from G2, and then here we are, 4-2. There is something to be said about the sides, of course. On Coastline, we find this map is pretty well balanced generally between attack and defense, but we shall see. It varies from team to team. Usually when you look at the overall stats of a map, whether it be attack or defense, and then you say, okay, well, it's got a 50% attack win, 50% defense win. Usually when you see something along those lines, what that means is that in this match over here, match number 1, this team is always winning defense, and the other team is always winning defense. And then in this match over here, match number B, it's always attack, and then always attack again. And usually we see...
Match number B.
No, I'm just trying to give an example of why those macro statistics are often misleading.
Number B?
Did I say number B? Oh, well. Sue me.
Okay.
4-2 Ninjas in Pyjamas. We're going to kitchen.
So you're being too good looking.
Right back at you, Parker.
Thanks, buddy.
I really like your... I like the green, by the way, today.
I am a human green screen today.
Yeah, I have... Oh, wow. You just gave a lot of people a lot of ideas.
Because I'm a human green screen.
For the 1 second that we showed up on screen earlier, you could just take
That's
that.
long enough.
You can take that.
That is long enough.
Yes, thank you very much, it is.
He said I look like a leprechaun here, so...
You can take that and you can edit things into his sweater.
G2 returning the favor against Ninjas in Pyjamas by bringing the Lion now as we look just getting underway with action in round number 7. And Pino, the Lion player on Nip's end, is now playing mute. Of course, one of those hard counters. Damage being done to G2. Kanto Raketti had answered back after he'd taken some damage. A run out now from the Mozzie. Finished off. Uno and Kanto dead, done, dusted. Julio and Psycho with 2 kills of their own. A 3v3 with only a minute off of the clock. This is one where, what a beautiful shot by Sir Boss. Probably red and on repel. That Capitau's just some significant damage with that M249.
I think it was just a random shot through the wall, a good read, like you said, a good awareness, and yeah, it was. It was just a random shot through the wall. Psycho goes down. G2 now in the driver's seat. It's a strong position to be with the way that they've got the manpower set up. They've also got half the round. These have been some deceptively quick rounds. By that I mean, like, look at that. Already 3-2. just past the halfway mark, and that's been kind of the story for the majority of the rounds through this match. Now, it's going to be a kitchen defense for Nip, but there's only one anchor. So you can see Julio playing off-site in an attempt to retake on the kitchen side. Kamikaze will be tasked with holding on to Serve's entrance and using his gas canisters to extend his hold as an anchor. That's what makes Smoke one of the best solo anchor operators in the game. He can use his gas canisters to hold any kind of push that G2 pull out. But Pengu's position upstairs is going to hinder Kamikaze's play in sight.
The only thing that could have really shaken those defenders to their core is, of course, the soft destruction, and this is one of the hallmarks of this map. Shotgun out, as you can hear the M249 do some work. Kamikaze might be giving his life away as Julio gets spotted. You mentioned he's a solo anchor, and while he's now a solo player, he's all on his own as he loses his only teammate that was still left. Looking left to right, Kamikaze is SirBoss nearby, diffuser in hand. We have seen so many teams be able to win these rounds all because of the diffuser going down. A push, a nice kill from Kamikaze, shotgun out, he will relocate, he doesn't know where they are. Inside of the lobby, there's the buck, 2 for Kamikaze. It's SirBoss in a 1v1, but Kamikaze only has 1 HP. Not much time left. He'll be isolated as the smoke goes out. Kamikaze can't play against this. The smoke will last long enough. You can't go through it. Frustration as diffuser going down from SirBoss. He might try to get out alive, and he will do just that. G2 have what they need in this round. Still 2 smokes for SirBoss if he wants to use them. He'll go on upside down rappel, and this is an angle that will almost assuredly net a kill against Kamikaze. Brutally challenging, if all but impossible, for the smoke to be able to land. Kamikaze knows this. He's inside of the bathroom. He will, for just a moment, distract SirBoss. Tossing out a smoke canister. Will that be any damage? No, SirBoss has to get out of there. He'll need to re-aggress. Down goes a flash. Pushed off is the smoke at the doorway! No way! Kamikaze clutches that out! And he has plenty of time as well. He'll get the diffuser. Beautifully played. Bye-bye, SirBoss. Nip, another round for their tally, ever closer to punching G2's ticket out of the Six Invitational.
Oh boy, that's one for the record books. You can see the look on Kamikaze's face. He's happy, and rightfully so, as that will push Ninjas and Pyjamas just one step closer to ending this out on G2's map pick. Now I want to remind you guys and gals that this is, in fact, a knockout match, which means that if it be the case, Ninjas and Pyjamas, they get the 2-0 here, or even the 2-1. If Nip win, G2 are done. Same in the other direction, of course. If we get to map number 3, G2 managed to win 2 of them, and that's the end of Nip's run at this Invitational. High pressure here for both teams, but I gotta say, Nip look in high spirits. To counteract that pressure, they are on top of their game right now. And with clutches like that, it really does not only amp you up as a player, but instill faith in the rest of your squad. I think Nip at this point would be hard-pressed to throw their lead.
Really, really deflating round for G2. SirBoss played that basically perfectly, but Kamikaze was just a tiny bit better. Everything about what SirBoss did was correct. He sectioned off the 2 ways into the site, preventing Kamikaze from stopping him in terms of getting that plant down. By the way, early opening pick, Psycho went for a spawn peek. He dies. He ran out. That's the pool run out. It's happened many times. G2 with the advantage already in this round. Let's get back into the dissecting that previous round. SirBoss plays it perfectly. 2 firebolts go down. That's going to stop Kamikaze from doing anything. 2 little HP to run through it. You know that as Kamikaze, you can't do anything. He's helplessly sitting inside of the lobby talking to his teammates, or maybe total silence, who knows. SirBoss immediately exits out to service, the place where that you want to sit. He goes on upside down rappel, and he has excellent coverage to watch as somebody pushes on up. Speaking of SirBoss, he gets cleaned up by Musi. He's down, diffuser is also down. That's by the front door on rappel. Then lastly, SirBoss plays the flash really well, but Kamikaze just swings on in. C4 tries to go out. This is an absolutely punishing round for both of these teams. I guess I don't get to explain anything because now a minute in and half of this lobby is now dead. A run out as well, Kanto Raketti, 3 big kills, and it's Musi in a 1v4. Wow, and there is a minute off of the clock. That's it. This round is essentially over. It will be G2's.
Musi will have to ace. And yeah, I agree with you. SirBoss did play that really well. to be honest with you, he kind of just got super unlucky on the timing. He was throwing the flash as he got pushed. He threw the flash to push the player off that diffuser or just peek it. And, he could have not thrown the flash, yes, but wow. Speaking of unlucky, Muzi gone to a spray through the wall. Yeah, and I kind of feel bad for Sabas because I feel like he'll get a lot of flack for that one.
Yeah, that's one of those rounds where it's, we're not intending to sugarcoat some of these things. Players make mistakes. It happens. However, Sabas played that about as well as you could imagine him to do so, especially with the fire arrows the way they were. He doesn't get that plant down without using those fire arrows. He couldn't use them in the post plant because I know inevitably there's going to be somebody being like, why didn't you just,
Yeah, wasn't spotless, wasn't bad. In that situation, it was a good play. It was just a better one from Kamikaze. And again, he got really, that timing on the flash throw, perfect from Kamikaze. But in the time it took us to try and talk about what happened there with that clutch, a whole round happened. And a big one for G2. A lot of runouts from Ninjas in Pyjamas, a lot of aggression, and all of it shut down by G2. Then, the round was pretty much over. It's not like there was much to say other than Nip went for aggressive plays. Nip went for runouts. They tried to challenge G2 at every front. They died on every front. So we'll see if Nip can correct that on their second, well, actually their third defense overall. I was going to say their second try of billiards, but no, they're gone to double bomb this time around. Constantly changing the bomb site here. Love to see that. I remember a time when you would have a team just religiously stick to the same bomb site over and over again. Parker, remember when we used to have 4 rounds in a row, the same bomb site, team constantly losing it?
I do remember.
Those were the days.
There was one Pain Gaming match that I remember in particular that was like that, where they went down to CCTV and Bank, and they just gradually brought more and more C4s. First round, 0 C4s. Second round, 1 C4. And then I remember, I think it was the 4th round, every single member of the team had a C4. And it was finally they won the round. And it's all right, well, I guess that's the real strategy there.
I remember that one. That was good times. That must have been like a year ago now.
That was a long time ago, so.
Well, here we go. Attack round continues for G2. This is a much slower one than last time. At 2 minutes in the last round, we had, 4 deaths? Maybe more?
Yeah, this round was basically already over at this point. But obviously, that is 2 factors. The first factor is Ninjas in Pyjamas are not going to be anywhere near as aggressive. Lion Charge could have been the death of Pino, who leaves some goo in his wake and heads on over to the main stairs. One member of G2 is on Repel up top, so he will be met with extreme aggression and tons of force. It's Sir Boss, actually, on drone. With the exception of a run out through the main lobby, well, there's... he doesn't need to worry about too much. G2's advance will come in through the kitchen and through service. They'll drone out, and Mighty actually spot Pino, who is playing just down by the main lobby desk. Will Uno's drone see him? The answer is yes. Shot out by Pino, who turns and watches. Not a bad place to look. Capitalization could come from the fact that an EE1D goes out. Goo mine triggered inside of kitchen. Pre-fire through the wall in that general direction, but Pino, who is the attention of most of G2 right now, will not be able to get much. Muzi spotted and then gunned down, opening pick for G2 with a minute to go. Significantly slower round, as you pointed out, Michael, but G2 has the advantage as one of the offsite players for NIP is no more.
That's definitely a big pick. On to Muzi, no less, who has been one of the top performers for Ninjas in Pyjamas through this tournament. EE1D again for G2. Nothing really coming of it. Again, the slow take. It looks like it's a setup for exit.
A rough spot to be in, but a second kill for Sir Boss. He's obviously unhappy with what had happened just 2 rounds prior, so he's making up for lost time. Gumine's being hit, missed opportunity from Pino, and now it seems like G2 have been the team that has awoken. Playing angry is something that you never want to have to deal with. When you're going up against G2, they can be so formidable. So, will they be able to translate that anger till victory here? Kamikaze, as well as Julio, 1v2, 1v5 rather. Julio spotted, 1 pick for him. He's gonna have to play around the corner, but he's gonna get shot through a wall. Way too many targets. Diffuser going down from Sir Boss. Uno survives that C4, won't survive the commando to the groin and then eventually to the head. It actually looks like it was a headshot. Very odd there. Mostly impactless kills, though, from Julio. G2 have the diffuser down, and they are mostly at full HP. Sirboss and Kanto Raketti combined together to almost be a full player. Lots of ammunition in the M249, which will keep Julio inside of office. He's not really going to be able to get out of there. I think he knows this. There's still a timeout for Nip. They can call it, or Julio can just sit and wait, but he's going to try to play through it. Long range from the M249. Sirboss could pick up his 3rd kill. Tracers will give his position away only a couple seconds until that diffuser is past the point of no return. And there she goes. This round will go for G2. Nip will just sit and wait, Julio in particular. Utility being dumped in because they know they don't have anything to do. And G2 gets a leisurely holiday for the final 40 seconds of that round. That was really instrumental for G2 to be able to hold on and try and gain some momentum out of this. It looks like it's going to be a timeout called from Nip. They cannot tilt if they want to be able to put this one away on what is appearing to be a very attacker-sided Coastline.
It's the right time to take a tactical timeout. 1 round away from that even 5-5. And just a little bit ago, it was a 5-2. So crazy how those close rounds can start to sway the momentum of a match. We could get map number 3 here with the way this is looking. Would not be surprised. You're absolutely right. G2 are playing angry. The way they're collapsing on a site is just about the same thing we were seeing from Ninjas and Pyjamas. Maybe a little bit more hazardous, maybe a little bit more loose from G2, but certainly working to the same effect. A whole lot of, you know what, let's just go for it. The setups are decent for G2 as well. In general, how they're taking on the roam is really impressive. The way that they managed to get 2 kills out of the main lobby on a double bar defense, that's big. And that's just well-coordinated droning, Lion play from G2. I'd say, and I think we're definitely underselling how relevant Lion is in all of these engagements, by the way, because Lion, I think, set the pace for Nip on attack, and it's doing the same thing for G2 now. That Lion has netted at least 2 kills off of those EE1Ds, sticking people in one place and allowing the clear to come in. Yeah, I know you can move with him now because it's marks instead of the thing through the wall. But at the same time, he's still very powerful in forcing people to stand still for just a second at this level of play. I think that's the really big thing to highlight with Lion. At this level of play, those little moments, they really matter because they can be ushered in whenever whoever's bringing Lion wants. And it can change the outcome of many gunfights. Because you've got multiple charges through the round. You got 3.
Yeah. So much annoyance being brought, especially with Kanto on this Jackal, to combine themselves with the Lion. It's the Megazord, if you want to call it, or what is it? I think we
have a name for that?
There was one time where it was like Dokkaebi, Kanto Raketti, or it was like Dokkaebi, Jackal, Lion, like Blitz.
Yeah, like you threw Kanto Raketti in there.
And it's just like, yeah, this is like assembling the 5 pieces of Exodia at that point.
The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, if you want to do one less.
Yeah, you can call it that. So, Dokkaebi, Jackal, Lion, and then like Finka or like a Blitz.
Monte was a thing too for a while.
Yeah, those are the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I think we've called it that actually.
I mean, there's more than 4, but like it depends. You can whittle it down too. So, 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse is nice. I like it.
G2 will drone on in and see a single target upstairs in theater. It's Musi positioned in a way where, well, if he doesn't get pressured effectively, he might be able to get a frag, but is almost certainly dead to Uno, who's just so accurate with his shots. He's got backup from Kanto Raketti, both of whom will be watching. Flashes in, and Musi will just wait. Pino's actually not too far off, playing over by 90, deployable shield, blocking that mute jammer. If the Lion call comes, oh, what a shot from Musi, all the way to Kanto Raketti.
The one tap.
Say goodbye to your smokes from the Jackal. Still smokes, though, from Sirboss. Soft destruction going, that sounded like a C4 as well. Sirboss has the retreat from Musi if Musi decides to head on through. Still full utility as well, as there's multiple people from G2 looking in that direction. They get a pick onto Musi, and to prevent a refrag, they immediately hit the EOD button, or the EE1D if you want to expand on the name. On white stairs, it's a total flash. Another kill for Pengu. It looks like a trade as Sirboss is there to eliminate Psycho, who takes out Fabian. So in terms of numbers, Nip will trail. They will sit on match point, though, if they're able to win this round, but right now it is a very tough order for them. Lots of soft destruction above. So much of it. Breach charges from the IQ, all used. Pengu with that skeleton key, plenty of reserve munition to be able to just continuously open things up. That leaves Kamikaze and Julio, the duo that has worked together effectively, but only good enough for one clutch left inside of the site. It being Kitchen, this is where we saw Kamikaze be able to clutch in spectacular fashion in the very first defense for NiP, and in fact, the only successful defense for NiP.
Yeah, Kamikaze does win these, and he is going to get 1 kill, but he's gone now, so it's all on Julio. He's got to find 2 more. Only 20 seconds left, though. Plenty of utility on Serbas. He's going to be able to cut off the site, and he'll drone out the Mozzie. That's unfortunate if you're Julio. He's not going to be able to get out of this either. He's kind of stuck. He'll go for the challenge, win 1 fight. Can he win the other? Yes! Oh my god! G2 just challenge and lose! It's 1 player! You know where he is! Shoot him!
Julio has been one of the best performers in this entire tournament, and on Ninjas in Pyjamas, statistically, he has been competing for the distinction of having the most amount of kills. You can see he's cool as ice, a brief bit of celebration, and then right back to business. 1 round away from NiP being able to advance through what will be a grueling lower bracket, and 1 round to send G2 home. You best bet that if we were in a live audience right now, knowing how much North America tends to hate G2, all of the heartbreak that G2 has given North American fans, the crowd would be absolutely chanting, "Send them home." I can't wait. Oh man, I cannot wait for the crowd on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So,
won't get any of that G2 hate, it seems, if NiP are going to lock this out.
I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. The only sites that Ninjas in Pyjamas have been successful on defense were Kitchen. They have not won on Hookah, they have not won on Bar. So, G2 very much has a fighting chance, and if history is any predictor of the future, then we're going to see overtime between these 2 teams.
It's totally possible, Parker.
10 seconds left.
I, for one, would like to see a map number 3,
5 seconds to go.
because I think we always like to angle for that map number 3. It makes for
Absolutely.
better competition. You get the whole extent of it, right? That will be Consulate if we get to it, but at this rate, Ninjas in Pyjamas are looking pretty solid. Parker's right, though. They have yet to win a defense anywhere other than Kitchen. They aren't going to be able to go to Kitchen in regulation again for these remaining 2 rounds, as they have just won Kitchen. So NiP will only get to go there if they get to OT, which, you know, if G2 pushes it there, then we will go to OT. And that will be, that'll be at least 1 round where NiP will be pretty comfortable on their Kitchen defense, so that's more pressure on G2. But, I mean, to be fair, also, NiP have been winning the Kitchen defense on 2 clutches, 2 separate clutches, but still 2 clutches.
Unsustainable.
Unsustainable is the
That
word.
kind of clutch level is not, it is not by any means something that you take comfort in. So,
I will say, though, when you get that, like that last round especially, I can understand the Kamikaze clutch maybe not hitting you too hard, but that one especially, that wasn't necessarily a clutch as much as it was, I mean, G2, yeah.
that was more of a mistake from G2.
Yeah.
In comparison to what happened from Serbas, Serbas didn't really commit any errors on that very first clutch that Kamikaze pulled off. G2 as a team didn't exactly pull it off well against the Commando. And you know what wouldn't have happened? That clutch wouldn't have happened with the Roni. So you got to thank having the Commando in your hand on that one, just giving further credit to which gun between the 2 is better to use for Mozzie.
The point I was trying to get at is that kind of clutch, that is a tilter.
Yes.
It is definitely a tilter, and G2 now have to fight against that.
But imagine that's one of those things where you sit in silence afterwards. So very crucial round. NiP have 2 cracks at putting this one away. This round and then the next, we are just halfway through round number 11, a double bars defense for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They've defended it once, and NiP were not successful. They will need to win a site that is not Kitchen, something they have yet to do. As the very first EOD goes off, 1 minute left. That's it. There is a recharge time. It's not too long. Oh! A C4 from 2! And the most prolific members of G2 go sky high. And with it, Ninjas in Pyjamas' chances of winning this matchup equally go sky high. deeply committed inside of the site. They will defend well and trying to burn out ADSs as Kamikaze turns his back. Shotgun in hand. He'll lose the deployable shield. Some damage goes off and a toxic canister will meet G2 as they push in. A single firebolt will push Kamikaze away. He'll pull out the SMG-11 and go prone. Tough angle, but he gets sprayed in through the wall. Excellent read. No damage done from the toxic canister, and Sir Boss will be credited with that one. 20 seconds left. G2 is equalized, but Psycho now on his own. He gets popped down. Kanto Raketti is not letting this one go away. Next up is Julio. Diffuser going down from Sir Boss. Too much damage to be done, and G2, after losing 2, go perfect after that. What a comeback from them on that round. All momentum that they might have lost, regained. Very final round of regulation between these two teams. What a nail-biter this is.
Big round there from Kanto Raketti, especially. Sir Boss also with the entry kill. Some significant contributions coming in there from the exit clear. But that's pretty much it. That is primarily just to do with the clear in through exit and Kanto Raketti on the individual play. It'll be Penthouse Theater for the last round of regulation. And wow, that is an odd decision for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They are betting it all on this site. Penthouse is well known to be a off-site in this meta. In fact, it does not get played really at all. This is the first time I've seen Penthouse in a good long while. And yeah, it's a Hail Mary. That's oh, I hope this works. Because Ninjas in Pyjamas, they don't want to get to OT. That would be effectively a defeat in a sense. Not over yet. They could still win in OT. But it's not where NIP want to be. If Ninjas in Pyjamas win here, again, that's it. G2 are done. They go home. They're finished for the Invitational this year. If G2 win, we go to OT. There's another chance for the European squad. But on Penthouse, I really don't know what's going to happen because it doesn't even look, NIP don't even know what's going to happen. Julia was reinforcing that wall, and then they're like, no, wait, don't reinforce that. They're going to open it instead. NIP doesn't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. This bomb site is going to change so much about how this is played.
This is very similar to what we see in Ranked. This is a default setup. The glaring weakness to this one for NIP is going to come up through the stairs over towards luggage. So if G2 seizes control of that part of the map right there, well, then they have the entirety of A at their disposal. They pop the mirror that Pino is sitting at, and that's when things get real hairy here for NIP. There is a reason why teams do not go to this site. It is not very well and easy to defend. G2 are probably stunned that this is where NIP is going to make their final stand.
And that level, you know, that might actually upset G2's flow. It could be that NIP's play of Penthouse is going to actually hurt the attack. And yeah, interestingly, an unreinforced wall in VIP. Again, I don't think that NIP fully know what they're doing here, because I don't think this is practice. I don't think this is something they're expecting to do. I think they're just like, nothing else is working. We can't go to Kitchen. It's the only site we've won. Let's Penthouse. Let's try Penthouse, because they've gone everywhere else.
No. Obviously not very comfortable with the hookah take. It was a defiant entry from G2, and hookah was just not what NIP liked. So where'd they go? Well, they go up to Penthouse. This is really incredible to watch. Everybody's just going to stay stand pat. Muzi has taken so much damage from below. I don't know if that was all just Uno.
See, I think they know that Jaeger's there. He's been lit up, but they actually poorly communicated the exact location. The IQ was trying to shoot him from below, but it's going to be Pengu on rappel to eventually get that kill. G2 get the lead off in this round.
It's so tough when you lose control of that big window as well. So G2 have decided that they are not going to attack from main lobby. It is going to be a full execute over towards Penthouse, negating the advantage that you would get from pushing theater. But just as I say that, Uno will creep up. And you can see absent from the NIP lineup is Elysian. There's nobody watching this back mirror at all. My, what a blind spot. This is 2 kills for G2. Another onto the Valkyrie. A flawless round to propel us to overtime. These two adversaries as close as ever. Julio down below. He doesn't have access to a C4. Sir Boss is planting, but Julio has no information, and G2 will be able to get away with this. Still down below. That's Super Shorty giving away his position. Flawless round from G2. My, after that C4, NIP have not been able to get a single kill. 3 more opportunities for these teams All they need are 2 rounds. No more timeouts. Both teams have used them. This one's going down to the wire.
This is about as close as it gets, guys. It looked for a long time like Ninjas in Pyjamas were going to be sending G2 home. It looked like it was all over. At round number 7, this was a 5-2 scoreline favor Ninjas in Pyjamas. Now going into round number 13, 6-6. G2 have put in a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of great individual performances to bring us to this point. That last round was done in by the fact that Ninjas in Pyjamas did not have an effective setup for Penthouse. They just didn't. They were not holding their main staircase. Uno walked up, freest 2 kills of, I'm sure, this whole tournament for Uno, and he puts his team in a great spot. This appears to be a technical, as the coaches do not have their microphones down, and we are in a pause. It is likely a technical timeout. It looks like we're going to be picking right back up. So here we go, back into the match. Don't know what happened there. What we do know is that currently G2, Uno and Cantor Raketti especially, are starting to step up. They're starting to rally the comeback. I also have to give credit to Pengu, who, yes, is on the bottom of the scoreboard, but for a good long period in this match, he had 0 kills, so impact frags, I suppose, contributing, and that's what's important. Double bar will be the first site for G2. It is very important that we highlight Ninjas in Pyjamas will be starting on attack. That is a significant advantage for NIP, as thus far, through this map, there have been 4 total defensive wins. 4. 2 for each team. NIP start attack, they're going to be in a great spot. They also, that means they get to defend Kitchen, their preferred bomb site.
Only once. That's all they need.
That's all they need.
That's all they need. So G2 will start on the double bars downstairs. They must assuredly feel like they have the wind at their backs because of what just occurred after that C4 kill. It is all G2. 10 kills in a row without a single one from NIP. They will need to break that desperately, especially if they don't want to go to Consulate, which tends to be a good map for both of these teams. NIP only lost it in a very close matchup against TSM, so...
Yeah. You know, it's weird. G2 used to also be one of those really amazing Consulate teams, and they even could still hold that name strongly.
Yep.
So if we get there, that could be a really hot contest.
So only played once so far by G2. It was a 7-4 victory over Reciprocity. Goodbye to Uno. Pino with the pick right inside of the double bar. That's a long-range angle. My goodness, that is a long-range angle as it ever.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That must have just been a spray, because there's no way he catches Uno on the cross. Maybe Uno was standing still, not knowing he was exposed, but whatever the case, it is an impressive kill, and that's one of the top 2 performers for G2 just gone.
Fabian down below, when his cloaking device was active, Musi spotted it. That's something that obviously IQ is capable of doing, very similar to how she spots a pulse. An answer back now from G2 as Cantor Raketti gets Julio by the front door. Cantor Raketti likely not been droned out, or if he had, Julio just simply doesn't engage in the fight, as Cantor Raketti didn't lose a single piece of HP. And given that it's an F2, that's pretty deadly. Great tracking from Musi and recoil control onto Kanto, as NIP will then regain a numbers advantage. But we tend to see this yo-yo effect where teams will go up and down in numbers and then settle at a 3v3. Fabian will creep on over, might end up in a battle to the death with Psycho. Psycho's looking the wrong way, just sees the Vigil, gone is the head of Fabian. And with it, that advantage for NIP will continue to grow. No 3v3 on the menu today. IQ above, a pre-fire from Pengu. He knows he's got the drone there and he'll head down. He'll be stuck. If he chooses to move, he'll have to do so very carefully as the EE1D goes off. That's Serbas inside of blue bar as the advance from NIP is going to come down Cool Vibe stairs. Pengu sees the Lion. Beautiful shot from him. Gone is Pino.
Very close here. Pengu and Serbas have managed to bring it onto a 2-on-3. Look at the time, though. Ninjas in Pyjamas up against the wall. Breach above will reposition Serbas forcefully, and he's caught in that rotation. Just Pengu now. He's going to have to pick up at least a 4K to win this one. There you go. That's his second. Kamikaze gone. Diffuser down, but that doesn't matter. Ninjas in Pyjamas take the first round of overtime And now they switch on to defense, where they will get to go to their preferred bomb site of Kitchen.
The thing is with Kitchen, Michael, we talked about this. It's unsustainable. They won it with the clutches. That was it. They didn't win it off of simple strategy. They didn't win it off of a longer effort to cut down on G2's advantage. It just came down to really smart plays. A 1v3 that Kamikaze won, and then a 1v2 that Julio won. Now, great teams are capable of clutching in high-pressure situations, but it's not something that you can rely upon. NiP will obviously need to bundle up as much confidence as they can and shove it into this Kitchen site, because that's really all they've got going for them. Correct a couple small mistakes and you should be okay, but G2 knows how to tackle this, G2 knows how to go after it, and G2 came within a hair of being able to win it twice. One small misstep from NiP and G2 takes this site and then puts NiP back on attack.
This is still anyone's map. But all the real pressure is honestly on G2's shoulders, as they find themselves down one round out of that OT gate, but more importantly, one map in the best of 3. There is really no room to breathe. It must be absolutely stifling to be on G2 right now. This is the type of level, this is the type of siege right here, where you kind of lose track of your actions. You lose track of the things going on around you, and things just kind of start happening. Whether you like them or not, whether you're the one putting out that action or it's just happening. It almost kind of turns into a blur. And with that in mind, the team who's got to be feeling the most here, G2, I don't know, this is very scary for them.
How poetic it would be if the map they won their very first World Championship on, Michael, is the map that they go out on from the Six Invitational this time. The very first time that G2 would be eliminated from SI. Fnatic was the very first team to ever defeat them in a best of 3 or a best of 5, make that, for that matter, at the Six Invitational. But there's an opportunity for it to happen again. And these two teams have quite a storied history with each other. When they were known as Black Dragons versus Penta, at my very first LAN and my very first finals, Black Dragons stunned the team that had won every single season final up to that point, knocking out G2 in the semifinals. And once again, at that time, referred to as Penta. G2 then managed to win against them at the Six Invitational in 2018, and then at the Paris Major the same year. Since then, these teams have not seen one another. So there's been a long lull in what was a pretty nice rivalry between them. 2 drones as well for Julio, as there was a missed opportunity for G2, just some shots that did not connect inside of the main lobby, and that could have been an opening pick for them onto Ninjas in Pyjamas, with Musi being the casualty.
Not a lot of clear right now for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Not a lot accomplished here for G2. Trying to challenge Musi in reception still by the main lobby. Reloading. Very dangerous for Pengu. Musi's been landing his shots, but then again, so is Pengu. It's a complete setup around the site here from G2. You can see they've completely encircled it. They're looking for angles to try and pick players away, but NiP are just patiently waiting this out. There's the pick though. That's the moment of truth. G2 might be able to work that into more.
And they're inside of the site. They'll just go for broke. Diffuser going down from Sir Boss. 2 kills. Easy play for Kanto Raketti. He toys with his food. 1 from Psycho. Diffuser goes down successfully. And both Musi and Psycho are way too far off. The Doc cannot connect onto those shots onto Pengu at all. Inside a courtyard, Psycho controls the recoil of the Scorpion admirably, but then gets taken out of action. Musi could pick him back up, but instead the Doc will go for the engage. Psycho cleaned up, 2 for Uno. The best defensive site for NiP is not good enough. We will need round number 15 for these two teams. G2 still very much in this.
We're going all the way on map number 2, Parker. That's pretty exciting. G2 are trying their very best to bring us to map number 3. It's not done yet, but boy, is the effort being put in. That last round was truly interesting, the way that G2 set up, because I gotta say, 90% of the time in a regular match, when you set up like that on the attack to execute on the kitchen, you're actually going to work against yourself because you're spreading yourself so thin on an attacking team. You've got one person at each different location, and yeah, there's a lot of angles being covered, but you're so exposed. One of those 1v1s getting lost for G2, and suddenly the round goes to Ninjas in Pyjamas, and it's over. But G2 understand how much pressure is on NiP's shoulders, and that's a good read from them because NiP, they played that stagnant. They played that slow. and they just made a few minor adjustments, which opened up the picks for G2, allowing them to then sweep into the site and win the round. I absolutely love also the call from G2. As soon as they got that pick onto Pino, right after G2's calling the execution, they rush site, they kill the anchors before they can even react. Cantor Raketti, the one to get those kills, and the round's over. G2 have brought us to the final one. And this is all that it really matters, I guess. These next 3 minutes are going to decide quite a lot about how the rest of this LAN plays out.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Well, this is it. Is it the calm before the storm, or is this the storm before the storm known as Consulate, Michael?
That'll be a really exciting map, by the way. That just will.
NIP's record on it is a 7-2 against Team Liquid victory. 8-7 victory over MIBR. Lost at 7-8 to TSM. A 7-4 for G2 against Reciprocity, and that's the only time that Consulate was played. It would have been the third map for G2 versus BDS, but G2 was able to put BDS away in 2 maps, so they didn't need the tiebreaker.
Both these teams in recent history outside of the event have hit and miss records on Consulate, so there's no definitive real story to be told when it comes to Consulate. Could go either way. That is, of course, assuming we get there.
Cardiac sensor work upstairs in Aqua lets Uno know that there are 2 members of Ninjas in Pyjamas that are hanging out on Rappel by Office and by Aqua. They are very exposed, and as more of that barricade will be shot out, Uno might go for a fight here. If NIP falls off, that could be to their doom. But no, they all decide that a fight is not worthwhile. They will instead head to the roof. Cantor Raketti is down below too. He can run up outside of the window. He just narrowly misses Psycho, and Sir Boss falls. That could be it for G2's chances. 90 seconds. Spotting the pulse as he fires away, the IQ in pursuit, and a good opportunity for Musi, his second kill. Down goes Uno. NIP with a 2-person advantage.
Cantor Raketti's still alive, and he's got 16 kills. He's playing Jaeger. This is still possible. Ninjas in Pyjamas, though, find themselves in a hard-to-lose spot. Now they're setting up for an Aqua take. Fabian's trying to contest this. E1D will make him stand still. Musi gets on the balcony thanks to that. Here's the aggression again from Fabian. He goes for the peek and wins the fight. That's a down. Big one onto Musi, who's been a star player for Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's not done yet, though.
Bit of a small oversight now. Capital has firebolts that he can toss on in, but wisely Fabian gets out of there. He wouldn't have survived much at all. As Kamikaze heads on up to the top of that Aqua balcony. Still an advantage for NIP by 1, but G2 has such incredible clutch potential. Oh no.
Not this, not now.
Not this, not now, absolutely, and well played. So, NIP is going to circle around and go to head on in. E1D gets burned. Members of G2 will drop. The Sophia looks to play against the Mute. 2 kills for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and that's it! There will be a new world champion as G2's era ends in front of our very eyes.
For now, G2 still hold the record. They are still the world champions, but they cannot maintain it. It's done. It's over. Ninjas in Pyjamas, a spectacular victory. 2-0 over their European opponents. And they will be representing Latin America large in that loser bracket.
A Brazilian team will definitively or definitely play on the stage. There's still one more match to see if Latin America eliminates BDS. And, well, we might go from having European dominance at Raleigh, where all of the Final Four, Michael, were European teams, to not a single EU team. If BDS loses to MIBR, it will be 1 APAC squad, 2 Brazilian teams, and 3 North American teams.
So that's it. BDS, the last hope for North America. A new world champion will be crowned. This is so many different things happening in just one match.
NIP proving their worth and proving why they are a team that was largely considered to be the favorites before tragedy struck them in Japan at Tokonami. But that's this matchup in the books, and it is indeed one for the books. The analysts will surely have a couple things to say, so let's hear it from them.
Vamos NIP. G2 have been the first team to get eliminated here in stage number 2. Let me just throw out some events out there. 6 Major Paris, Pro League Season 8 Finals, DreamHack winner 2018, and the Six Invitational 2019. G2 placed first in all of those tournaments, but now they're not going to be in the finals this time around. Ladies and gentlemen, this is crazy. What do you say after this matchup?
I mean, hats off to NIP. You've got to give them credit for what they've managed to accomplish here, and it was in the big moments, such as these clutches from Kamikaze and Julio, that NIP really shut out G2 Esports.
This is just, I mean, so much of the time, I honestly felt like Kanto and Uno were just the last two guys left awake at a slumber party, wondering what to do with all their time left.
You know what, let's talk about that a little bit, because watching this game was so hard, it was so painful to see. This wasn't the G2 that we were used to seeing.
No, G2 didn't lose to NIP because G2 weren't here today. There was 5 Prismas up there pretending to be G2.
I mean, tell me about Pangu. Pangu, one of the star players in all of Rainbow Six Siege. He didn't get a kill into the second half.
That's exactly right. Went through the entire first half without finding a kill, and man, there were some moments where he really should have.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on through Pengu's head, but I'm sure that he's feeling at a really low point at the moment.
I mean, I'll tell you what, every time you cut to the team, you could see Pengu sticking his finger up to his mouth, like looking like he's thinking, but it might as well have been his thumb in there because he was just constantly down on himself, down on the team, and he was the bottom player on his team right now. Sir Boss, 2 players above. That's not how it should be. And Sir Boss, speaking of that, man, he tried his best. He made some flops, he did. He made some mistakes in those clutch plays with Capital, but we saw some big brain plays too in those attempts.
Yeah.
Just small mistakes. At the end of the day, maybe Sir Boss is not the problem, but at the same time, I feel some roster changes coming for G2.
I mean, what's going on with the core of this team?
That's a huge question. With Fabian and Pengu, the 2 lowest rated players in that match, it does bring up a few questions, but you know, these guys are the ones who they've won 2 back-to-back invitationals and they can't make it a third. One thing I do want to talk about, you mentioned Psycho, and you mentioned how he's such a strong player, but he just hasn't been showing up for NIP so far.
Right.
Well, he absolutely showed up then. He had an 83% cost. He was fragging out like crazy and really stepping up for NIP.
So, the clutches. Can we talk about the clutches? The 1v3, the 1v2 in service entrance. Imzo, break it down for us.
I mean, delivery it's a great spot to be playing Capitao at, right? You can smoke, you can fire. He's in a position where he's like, okay, I got him on lockdown at this point. I can start to set up for a plant. He's in a 1v3 and he can't plant alone without doing some damage. Manages to get it down to Kamikaze right there. Firebolts perfectly on either side of Kamikaze. You saw it, you saw the defuse going down. We're like, this is happening. He gets on rappel, he's in a great position, and he's ADS'd. What does he do? When he gets the opportunity, he throws a flashbang, gives away his position, not to mention moving, and that pulls him off the ADS. He's on the LMG, that's the slowest ADS. And just shotgun, all it takes is one. He knows exactly where he's at. Kamikaze, I mean, kudos to Kamikaze as well. But that was telegraphed, and he absolutely received it.
I really think that clutch was lost earlier in the moments when we saw Kamikaze allowed to take down both Fabian and Pengu. Because firstly, 3 versus 1, and Fabian peeks it, probably shouldn't have.
No,
the main problem is even after he lost that fight, Pengu was not close enough to refrag.
You're right. You know what? My mind is blown right now. The brackets are all messed up. And speaking of brackets, we have them for you. Let's take a look. Right now, you have NIP facing G2 Esports, lower bracket round 2. You have Fnatic waiting for the winners of MIBR and BDS Esport. And you guys saw what happened earlier on with TSM against Space Station Gaming. But with the first team being eliminated in the double elimination bracket, does this even feel real to you right now?
I mean, I don't have a lot of faith in EU to be able to make it forward, and that is weird to say.
That's real.
Right now. That is, I mean, as much as I was excited about seeing NA go forward, I'm really, like, surprised to see EU struck like this. I mean, BDS still have a chance, but to be honest, their performance hasn't said they're making it to Grand Finals.
And MIBR has been looking really good. How do you feel about EU and Six Invitational in general?
I think that MIBR and BDS are probably my 2 lowest rated teams remaining in the bracket. I know that's a big thing to say, but I've got a bit of bias because they've got to face Fnatic, for sure. But look, MIBR have struggled to, they had a similar problem with NIP that they really only had Cyber showing up at a lot of their games and they couldn't get their other players in there. BDS also struggled, they lost to G2 in groups, but I don't know.
It's looking rough.
It's looking really rough for a European fan.
So, I mean, Empire, gone. Evil Geniuses aren't even here. G2, they're out of here now. Who's the next champion?
Canadians looking to get it back. That's what it comes down to. You saw the passion every single time the man plays. He is already lifting that trophy in his mind, and honestly, the way he's playing, I think they deserve it. Not just him, of course. I mean all of SSG.
Oh, of course.
But he's IGLing to help make sure that happens, and I mean now with G2 out, who's he going to choke against?
I love you. So, all right, so last game of the day will be MIBR facing off against BDS Esports. But before we're done at the desk for the day, any last thoughts? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's seeing G2 go out is both amazing, remarkable, and also heartbreaking. And I said that this would be the first game of the day which would have real heartbreak. And I think that, and I have sympathy for them going forward because there's going to be a lot of tough decisions. They've already been struggling with their rosters, and I just hope that into 2020 and beyond, we see G2 start to really find their feet again.
Hope so.
I mean, I gotta say, as much as I've been hyping up the NA and the EU dropping out, this is a good opportunity for LATAM. They have a chance to make it. We've seen NIP playing very strong. I was hyping up Musi before, and he really showed up. We know they can all do it. It's just a question of their opponents and how they go forward. I mean, yeah, maybe MIBR make it forward, maybe they don't. But at the same time, like, we're looking at NA, we're looking at possibly APAC to be in the grand finals, as well as, of course, you got LATAM with a chance. So EU being almost completely shut out already, this is the shakeup I think Invitational needed.
All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, G2 has finally been put to rest. Good night, sweet prince. We're not going to see them anymore in this bracket. Six Invitational, the best tournament in the world for Rainbow Six Siege. We have it once a year, and this is what makes it so special. But coming up next, we have Europe's last hope in BDS Esports, the French with Shaiko. They're going to be facing off against MIBR. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been a blast so far, and I've been having a lot of fun on this desk, but this is our last segment of the day. Coming up soon is going to be Milos, Zoronic, and Jess. Hope you guys continue to enjoy the games, and we'll see you guys after the break.